Alright, and good evening, and welcome to round 11, the AK Racing Supercars Championship from Sandown. We do apologise for coming in a bit late. We did have a bit of a mix-up, so that's on me, that one. But we're up and running. We're on 2 channels, so we welcome the Go Race promotions, and well, good evening.
Good evening, Louis. Thanks for having me tonight.
Well, thanks for being accommodating and sort of trying to work our way through this. We're in qualifying. You've been around for practice. Who's the 4 man to look out for?
Mate, you cannot go past the Lynn and O'Hara entry. Already, those guys are in the low 107s, and it's just crazy how quick they are. And of course, the alien, Andrew O'Hara, you'd be a very brave man to bet against him.
Yeah,
but
we also
saw. Yeah, well, we also saw that pretty well the top 4, they were within 3/10 of each other, if I'm not mistaken. So keep an eye on Lauder, Munro, the Reed Cotter entry, Corder, Delaney, all those guys. Expect them to be near the front and hopefully giving the Lynn O'Hara entry a bit of a run for their own money.
Well, the Lynn O'Hara car themselves, they're throwing a spanner in the works with the Enduro Cup so far being dominated by the Team Penrite Erebus with Reed and Cotter, and also we've got Lauder and Munro who've also been quite quick. Haven't quite been as consistent as the sister Nissan Altima with Corton and Delaney, so they're throwing a bit of a spanner in the works in the Enduro Cup, and could be a really exciting end to it here.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you just saw that around the Lynn O'Hara entry, but that was a bloody Nissan becoming a interdimensional traveller there.
I've seen a little bit of warming going around, but
yeah.
Hopefully it doesn't feature in the race. It's just one of those odd things that do come up in sim racing from time to time.
Yeah, unfortunately, internet just does not replace the real thing, and well, we do expect these sorts of problems.
We do, but if there's one thing that is a bonus in sim racing as opposed to real life, is that if you do bin it, you can always sort of come back in practice, and it doesn't cost you a couple $100,000 to repair a car. And at the same time,
or a couple of days.
Or a couple of days, and also, you know, if you bang a curve too hard, it generally doesn't wreck the car or damage any parts of the car. You don't have these technical gremlins in a sim. Mainly, it's just if you rev the engine too hard, you blow the engine. That's about it.
I would be quite debative about that, because my brother has actually claimed that he has absolutely destroyed suspension on cars in a set of courses just by using curbs. So,
well, in most sims, I know Assetto does have some of that, where you can damage some splitters and some suspension settings, but for the most part, you go through the list of sims, isn't quite there with that kind of stuff, and in some ways it's probably a bit of a blessing that it's not as severe sometimes as real life, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, I have to say sim racing is a little bit easier. You don't have to travel, 6 hours to get to a racetrack or get into a plane and fly around the country. But I'm a little bit old school. I love the real racetracks, but sim racing is proving to be quite a good way to keep that itch scratched during these tough times with the COVID-19 thing.
Yeah, certainly. It's seen a massive uptick with pretty much every series moving to some platform of sim racing, and hopefully in the long run we see sim racing and these series start to take off.
I think that's going to be a given. We're always going to have sim racing from now on, and this is just the brave new world that we have with motorsport. But it's not all bad. Certainly. No, well, I mean, how many guys here would be able to raise the funds enough to race a V8 supercar?
Well, I was about to touch on that. It's much more affordable to, buy a sim, a wheel, a computer capable of running a sim, and jumping in and having a crack, as opposed to, say, starting off in a go-kart and then moving to some lower form of racing. So you're looking at, $15,000-$20,000 for a good karting season, and maybe a bit of road racing as well. Well, in a sim, you're looking at, entry level at $1,500 for a cheap computer and a low-end wheel.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. And that means you don't have to buy the helmets and driving suits and boots, gloves, underwear, harness devices. Harness devices get very expensive actually. Bit crazy.
Certainly
But
does.
still, it's necessary for those guys to keep themselves safe.
You certainly don't like seeing injuries. That said,
Oh God, no.
have seen the odd injury in sim racing with people with direct drive wheels having big accidents and injuring their hands and fingers.
Yeah, I've heard of people breaking their wrists with the direct drive wheel, so the risk is still there.
Albeit not life-ending, thankfully. But
Well, depends on how understanding your girlfriend or wife is.
oh, yeah, that's a good call actually. But back in qualifying, we've had the red Cotter car just sneak a little bit closer to the Lynn O'Hara car, still a tenth away. Also got the Louder Munro car. Again, they're still 3/10 off, but from what we've seen in Munro throughout the season and in the Enduro Cup, is that he's a very, very capable qualifier, and if anybody's going to set a lap that would beat O'Hara's, it would be Munro.
Well, he's up in the second sector. I just saw it on my own screen. Oh, well, he's just binned it, so never mind. That's unfortunate for the red Cotter entry, because he was looking good in that middle sector.
He was following the Louder Munro car at the moment. Looks like they've just had an out lap, I think, and they're about to start a flying lap. A number of cars now leaving the pits. As you see the Humps Cicluna car now move up into the top 10. Those guys in Super 2, and they did a fantastic job, it has to be said, back at Alton Park.
Yeah, well, Alton Park was quite an exciting race, as we just really looking forward to seeing what the guys actually put together for tonight. So I think Sandown would be a much easier track to drive these supercars around than Alton Park.
It's a much simpler layout. That said, I think from what I've heard from a number of the drivers out there and from past experiences from last season, that the curves around here are vital, and if you hit them the wrong way, it'll send you around. And coming down the hill towards Dandy Road, you hit them the wrong way, and I reckon we might see a big accident. So hopefully it doesn't happen, but it's a lot shorter of a track, so we will see times a lot closer together. So it should make for some close racing, and if you get your strategy slightly wrong, you could be well down the field, and if you get it right, you could find yourself up a few spots where you'd not normally find yourself.
That is true. Strategy and patience as well. This track, very short. I touched on it a little bit earlier in the practice session. But these guys are going to have to really maintain their patience. Such a short track means they're going to have to deal with lap traffic quite frequently. And even now, these guys have to deal with traffic as they're trying to get some clear space for their qualifying.
Yeah, very, very short lap around here, just over a minute. As you can see, 107.1, the fastest so far in qualifying. And with 20 cars, around about 20 cars, with about 3 kilometres of the circuit, it's there's not too much space out there. So we follow the Humps Cicluna car, and they've had to deal with a little bit of traffic so far on this lap. That said, though, got a fairly clear run to the line as they go through the final couple of corners.
The Humps Cicluna car, they were an absolutely impressive team at Alton Park, the Super 2 team, and they got themselves up into the top 5 during qualifying, and they were right up there for the entire race. Yeah,
throwing a bit of a spanner in the works with the circuit being changed about a week ago due to the Gold Coast having a couple issues with the track limits and the like, but these guys were able to adapt, and as you said, top 5 in qualifying and in the race. They did a really, really superb job to finish where they did, and even though at the moment they're sitting in 9th, with what they're able to achieve in the race last time out, it wouldn't surprise me if we do see them move forward as the race progresses as well.
Well, still got 5 minutes left in qualifying, and that's enough really for 3 or 4 laps. So don't count on these guys staying out of that top 5.
All it takes is just to hook up a corner or two here, and you get the rest of the circuit right, and yeah, you can find that time. But at the moment, the Cordon Delaney car just a little ways off where we've normally been accustomed to seeing, where we've been accustomed to seeing them. Sitting there at the moment in P5. I do expect them to move a little bit closer towards P1. So we'll stick with them for a lap and we'll ride on board. We'll see how they're attacking the Sandown International Raceway. So making about 120, 130 for turn 1. Bit of curb. It's a juggle. Steering wheel smashes the curbs at 2 and 3. Uses the outside curve there on the exit at turn 3 as a bit of a launching point for turn 4. Again, a bit of a slide on the exit. Hasn't been an ideal lap. Probably would have liked to have had a little bit less understeer, or oversteer I should say. And then we approach the first split, 3/10 down.
It looks spectacular, but it's not always the quickest way through around the track, really.
Yeah, looks at another bit of a moment there coming down the hill. So yeah, they're pushing hard out there, but perhaps just overdriving it a little bit.
Also, a bit of a shout out to Spinels17 for following us. Thanks for doing that, mate. I hope you enjoy the stream.
And yeah, there you go, 107.9 on that lap.
Looked a little bit tidier through turn 1. Plenty of curb through 2 and 3. Oh, sorry, I'm still following the Cordham Delaney car.
Yeah, I just had a look back actually. Got another Super 2 car in the top 10 as well. Got the Hubbard and Nichols car sitting in P7, so they've done a really good job in the Caltex Haviline car. 108.1 for them. 108.2. Reed Cotter car, so just coming out of the final corner, about just over a tenth away, giving it everything on the exit, the final corner there. I don't think it's going to be enough. No, 107.4. Still consistent lap times from those guys. The big question mark though over the O'Hara and Lynn Bruce Mobile Motorsports car is going to be, well, we know O'Hara is a standout performer. I have to say, I've done a lot of sim racing one time. He is probably the fastest, if not one of the fastest, top 5 for sure. But the question remains, can Lynn sort of keep a good enough pace to keep them in the hunt? So we do have this qualifying session, but we also have a short practice, or not practice, but a little qualifying race after this one to sort out the grid.
Yeah, that's going to be a very exciting race. I think that's only, what, 8 laps from memory?
Yeah, very, very short race. So it'll be interesting to see if we see the, I think it's the co-drivers or the driver on the lesser amount of points starts that race, I think. So it will be interesting to see if we see drivers pushing hard out there to try and fight their way through and be really aggressive, or if drivers are just a little bit more conservative and they don't want to end up having a big accident which might see them drop down the starting position for the main race. So it's going to be a bit of a juggling act for the drivers out there. Do you be aggressive, or are you going to be a little bit more conservative out there?
It's going to be risk management, that's for sure.
As we got the Munro and Lauder car, P1 just sneaking ahead of Lynn and O'Hara as time expires. Now the Lynn O'Hara car did just exit, well, start a lap, but they've made a mistake.
No,
so
made a mistake out turn 4 and put it into the fence.
They've been beaten right at the death. Also got the Cordham Delaney car out there, but looks like they're a couple tenths down, I think. And making a mistake coming down the hill as well. So still pushing on with it. Had a couple of drivers leave. His time has expired, and they're changing drivers in their cars. And as this car continue will come into the pits, now it's coming into the pit. So right at the death, when it looked like this Mobile Motorsports car is going to take pole, the Rebel Club entry steals pole position at the end with a 107 dead. So Fantastic lap there. And once again, the Rebel Club sitting on pole position, albeit for the shortened race.
Well, it's a good chance for a lot of drivers down the back to make up a few sneaky positions. It's also going to really keep us entertained because there's not going to be a lot of, conservative driving, if you know what I mean, from some drivers. They will use this as an opportunity to try and force their way up the field, which is exciting for us, but expect to see the drivers not in the car chewing down their fingernails.
Yeah, I think some of the main drivers will be just hoping that their teammate just brings it back in reasonable condition and around about the spot where they qualified. That said, if their teammate has a crack and gets a bit lucky, who knows? You might see them elevate up a few spots and looking really good for the start of the race. But just to run through the times here in qualifying. So Loudon Munro, as I said, 107.1 dead, with the Boost Mobile Motorsports car in second, being pipped on a 107.188. Got the Reed Cotter car, 107.322. Courtsom Delaney, 107.4. 107.5 for Keys and Keane. Munro and Ferguson, 108.0 with Hubbard and Nichols. Super 2 entry, 108.2. So great effort from those guys. Payne and Crab, 108.2 as well. Just a fraction behind the Hubbard Nichols Ford FGX. Phillips and Guttison, 108.4. Hum and Cicluna making it 2 Super 2 teams in the top 10 on a 108.4 as well. So very, very close lap times really from 6th to 10th. And in fact, you could extend that all the way down to Hobson and Scott in 12th, where there's pretty much just a tenth and a half separating all those guys. So absolutely nothing between these midfield runners. And as you said, it being so close, maybe being a little bit more aggressive in this co-driver grid-setting race. If you're a little bit more aggressive and it pays off, you could find yourself in front of that queue and in a bit of space in front of you come race time.
For sure. I think a lot of those guys down the back, they got nothing to lose in this race. So you can guarantee they're going to send it. But hopefully But it is interesting to see that there is a bit of a divide between the top 5 and the rest of the field. We're going to have 2 separate groups in this race, it seems, which is unfortunate. It does happen a lot in motorsport. But definitely don't discredit the midfield just because they're the midfield. That is incredibly tight between 6th and 12th.
And even still, with the top 5 being really close, and then we have that second group, we don't know. Like, there could be someone out there that just didn't quite put their lap time together in the 20-minute qualifying session. That can be the case sometimes. So there could be 1 or 2 guys that are sitting there in the middle, like, man, I could have hit a 108.3 or a 108.4, or even a 107.4 or 5, but they just didn't put it together, made some mistakes, or even got caught up in traffic. So come race time, who knows? But it's just 5 minutes away from this qualifying race. And who knows what's in store in the short one. And then, of course, in the much longer one just after that. So 107 laps this evening for the main race. In fact, I might as well bring up the graphic here. As you can see, round 11 of the championship, Sandown International Raceway circuit located in Springvale in Melbourne. 3.104 kilometres, 13 turns. Endurance event with 1 8-lap qualifying race and the 107-lap feature race. And it's going to be pretty grueling around here. It is very short, but it is quite demanding as well.
And once again, because it's so short, we will see that that congestion of lap traffic. I imagine that some of the top guys, they will probably be hitting lap traffic in the main race at around lap 10, maybe 11. Risk management will play a part in the feature race as well as the qualifying race.
Yeah, traffic always is an important part of any long distance race, and around this circuit where it's very difficult to find large clumps of time. If you find yourself, say, in second or third and the leader comes up across a group of cars, you can make up a significant amount of time. So you're sort of hoping that you come across them short at some point is probably going to happen with that midfield being so close and those front runners having a little bit of an advantage over those guys.
Well, with the midfield so tight as well, something else that's going to have to play in the back of some of these drivers' minds is that these lap drivers, well, they're not obligated to get out of the way, and they're going to be in battles as well. So, as a leader, you have to really sort of balance, do you go for the move and get involved in this battle, or do you hope that one of them just backs out of it and costs themselves time, which, well, it's not really advantageous for any party. So, I don't really know what's going to happen.
It's all about risk and reward, and it also comes down to what time of the race is it. If it's early on in the race, you might see a bit more conservative driving when coming up against some traffic, but if it's coming late on in the race and you've got a car or two coming up behind you, going to have leaders being a little bit more pushy to try and get by lap traffic, and if lap traffic are racing people, they're not going to exactly want to let them go either because they've got people to race. So it'll be very, very interesting, and I think it's going to be one of the defining moments of this race is going to be leaders getting through traffic. Whoever does that well will probably find themselves with a pretty big advantage once they sort of come up to some of the lower end of the midfield.
Now, it's something that I've always said with my own racing and my own teams in endurance racing. You're not racing in the first 75% of the race. That first 3/4 of the race, you're setting yourself up for that final quarter where you can actually fight for a position that's meaningful. So the last thing you want to do is put damage on your car on lap 10, which will hurt you on lap 100.
Yeah, it's all about setting the platform, and as Neil Compton and the Supercars crew say all the time, it's all about buying a ticket for the end of the race, and once you buy that ticket, you can then, you can lick the stamp and send it after that. But yeah, you want to build that platform, get yourself into a position towards the end of the race where you can strike, and then you go for it at the end, because there's no point, getting damage early on, and then you're just trundling around for 2 hours down in a position you don't want to be in. But about 30 seconds away, so we'll just cut into the intro and we'll be off and racing. Alright, and here we are. The co-drivers are on the grid and the lights are about to come on. The first qualifying race, 8 laps and a very short circuit. What can go wrong?
Famous last words.
And away we go. Sandown Raceway. As
looks like a very clean start into turn 1, although everyone got through cleanly, amazingly. So, well done to every single driver on this grid. And it is the Munro Lauder car out in front. They got the Alien just behind them. I'm assuming it's... I would assume that... Who would be in that car?
So it'll be Lynn in the car, and it'll be Lauder in the car as well. But they're side by side at the top of the hill. Also got, I think that'll be Cotter, I believe, in the car. Having a look, they're the ones to look out for in this co-driver race. 2 very, very quick drivers, and there we go. I do believe that's Cotter in the car. I think he was... might be Reed. I'll have to check the standings, but both those guys capable of winning races on their own. But Lauder doing a good job at the moment, and the Penrite Erebus car now up into second place, and looks like he's going to take the lead already. That's the start of lap 2 here.
And kudos to the entire field. They managed to get through the entire lap without anyone going off the track. As we see Reed and Cotter going for the move.
Up the inside.
Gets it done.
Yep.
So we can see someone who's just going for it in this qualifying race. They want pole position. That's the Erebus car.
They do have two very capable drivers, both drivers in with a shot of the championship. Another car to look out for, the Cortum and Delaney car. Again, both those drivers are in with a shout of the championship. Both those teams fighting for the team's championship. So I'd expect to see that car move up a position or two in this short race here. But at the moment, looks like the Lynn O'Hara car starting to put pressure on the Rabble Club Nissan.
Well, the Erebus car is making a break for it. It's already up to a second in the gap. That battle for second is getting pretty tight. And once again, that top five has sort of made a break from the rest of the field. But she's looking down that leaderboard. I can just see 0 point all the way down from 9th. Oh, pretty well down to 17th, so it is really close in the midfield.
And we've got the Monroe Ferguson car making a move on the Caltex Haviland car side by side through turn 1, 2 and now 3. A bit of a slide on the exit, but the car sales car up ahead. And
it opens the door for the Harvey Norman. No, not quite.
I thought we were going to see a replay of what happened in the 2019 race there at Sandown, with one of the Erebus cars sort of turning in front of the other one and causing an incident. Going to go 3 wide at the top here.
Someone's got to give.
Well, they've got through it at the moment.
Still side by side, throw it down the bottom of the hill, and the Red Bull car goes for a
bit of contact. The Red Bull car, yeah, just a bit of contact on 2 wheels for a moment, but thankfully, we've got a car, 2 cars off in the background. That is the Hobson and Scott car and the Nissan, the Norton Hornet car as well. So that's a Taylor and it's the Taylor Green car and the Hobson and Scott car both going around there. So they're to the back of the field. I'll be a bit bummed about that one.
Now, well, risk management comes back into play. And we've certainly seen a lot of drivers that have benefited from that chaos.
Certainly have. Back up at the front though, the Cortum Delaney car, Team Castrol Plus Fitness car, has moved up into 3rd place and is looking to make a move for 2nd. The Penrite car is absolutely gone, barring a mistake. They're not going to be beaten in this one, and we'll start from pole position. But the big question mark is going to be who's going to start 2nd, as we see, I think that is Lynn just running a little bit wide at the top of the hill, able to live for another day there.
Now, I get the impression that Lauder is not quite comfortable in the supercars as he is with the GT3 cars, but he's doing quite a good job to hold off the Castrol Nissan.
Yeah, his main job, I think, is just going to be able to put up a really decent fight. He did a good job at Alton Park. A really strong first 34 laps. Handed the car over in a good position. And his teammate Monroe was able to do a really fantastic position, move that car up throughout the race. So they'll be looking to do the same thing here. But at the moment, Lauder's looking just to hold on for another 3 laps and have that Rabble Club car starting from the front row.
It's on in turn 1. Down in P11, 10, 11 and 12. They're almost 3 wide, and there was some door-to-door contact that almost sent the Red Bull Commodore off into the boonies. Thankfully, they've all managed to keep going, but they're still very close together as they head up towards Dandenong Road.
As that was happening, we did have a change for 2nd position, so Castrol Plus Fitness car now into 2nd place, able to get the job done at the top of the hill, and coming back to that battle down there for 10th place in the end. In fact, it's actually closed up a little bit between the Hubbard Nichols car and the Payne Crab Harvey Norman car as well, so there's a big little pack here, and there's a couple laps to go. It's still to play for these guys to possibly move up a position or 2.
It's just very interesting watching the Lynn O'Hara entry. That's dropped all the way down to 4th, and they've dropped down to almost 3 seconds behind the Rabble car. So maybe they're not quite comfortable in race trim, or maybe they've gone for a conservative setup, or maybe even a conservative approach.
they're a few seconds behind the Lauder Monroe car at the moment, and they're a few seconds ahead of the Keys and Keane car. So perhaps at the moment they're just going to be content with starting from 5th, and there's no point really overdriving it from here because all you're going to do is just go backwards. But it's a battle for 10th here, heating up. Around the outside goes the Richards and Simmons car at the top of the hill. That's a really good move, and also got the Pain Crab car trying to make a move up the inside.
Yeah, the Nissan was not taking any of that and just fired up the inside. I don't think the move was there though.
There was a bit of contact that sent the car wide. Also got the Ches and Eaton car looking to make a move. As you see, Cortum and Delaney. That car's now set the fastest lap of the race, but 4 seconds at Sandown in a lap, you're not really going to close that down. That's for sure.
No, that's for sure. I think that top 5, well, not even the top 5, because Phillips has got Keys, Keane and the Holmes Cicluna car right up behind him. So pretty well the top 4 is sorted, I think. But right down the back of the field and then the midfield, everyone is scrapping for positions. It's turning into a real death match down there.
Yeah, after obviously that contact at the bottom of the hill there, got the Hobson Scott car still pushing hard and making up position on the Newman Cunliffe Timken car. So they're still up a couple of spots from that incident they had early on. Probably not going to start much higher, but then again, with that big battle pack up ahead of them, a bit of contact in the last couple of laps here, and you never know, they could find themselves in 15th, 16th.
Oh, we're coming up to last chance now as the Reed Cotter entry starts the final lap. So expect this little battle down here in 10th to really heat up, as in fact I just saw across the top of my screen that the Lynn O'Hara entry has done their personal best.
Yes, it hasn't been a race they would have wanted, but they're still going to start in a decent position there in P4. Back here though, got the Ches Eaton cars moved up a couple of spots, but at the moment they're just trying to fight off the Runch Dominiac entry.
Oh, they're fighting not to get turned around by the looks of things. Yeah, it's getting really messy back there.
It certainly is. So it looks like they have spread out just a little bit over the last half a lap, so you might not see too many more position changes in this little pack here. But,
meanwhile at the front,
yeah,
no dramas whatsoever.
Yep. Took them a couple of laps, they got into the lead, and then they were never headed. So the Penrite Erebus car will start from pole. Their championship rivals will start alongside them, Cortum and Delaney, with Lauder and Munro finishing in 3rd. And what has happened to the Lynn O'Hara car? Because we've got Phillips and Guttison have moved up to 4th. Hummer Cicluna will start from 5th, and the Lynn O'Hara car coming over the line in 6th. So late drama there.
7th. He's dropped down to 7th.
Screen it says P6, but if it's P7, either way, mistake on the last lap costing them multiple spots. Munro Ferguson finishing in 8th, Hubbard and Nichols finishing in 9th, Pain Crab in 10th, Ches and Eaton 11th, Runch Dominiac in 12th, followed by Monty and Spinozzi. Then we have Ball and Knight in 14th, McLaughlin and Davies 15th, Richards and Simmons in 16th, followed by Hobson and Scott recovering to 17th, Newman and Cunliffe in 18th, Taylor and Green in 19th, followed by Pope and well, that was certainly a very interesting, very interesting race. Some changes at the front and a big battle pack as we thought would happen in the middle.
Well, what I say about the Humsa Cluner entry? They're back up to P5. Top 5 start again for those guys.
Yeah, so they were able to keep their noses clean. Qualifying didn't quite go their way. Still a good effort starting obviously 10th in qualifying, but able to keep it clean, put some clean laps together, and end up P5 in the end. In fact, the Keys Keen car was running a little bit higher as well, so it looks like they made a mistake and dropped a couple spots as well. The Phillips and Guttison car was I think a little bit further down as well, so those are the big movers. Phillips, the Ford Mustang, the Monster Ford Mustang, and the Kmart Commodore of Harman Cicluna, so those guys moved up quite a ways and looking good for the race, it has to be said.
Oh, once again they did the same thing at Alton Park, so Big shout out to those guys.
All right, well, we'll just be waiting a little bit while the server is set up. It has to be manually input on a separate server, so we do have a little bit of time to kill. So I might as well just bring up the driver standings for now. And as you can see, Courtson and Reed, first and second, 2080 plays 2057. Absolutely nothing between them. And then we've got Matt Cotter on 2032. Not far away either. And then we have Delaney there in fourth, who at the start of the season was nowhere, had a very poor start to the season. But come mid-season, and especially here in the Enduros, he has delivered. And he's also right there in the championship mix. And just after that, we've got Munro in fifth. He's been very, very quick in one lap pace, but some of his race pace is sort of dropped backwards. He's made some mistakes in race trim, but still, nonetheless, you cannot doubt his pace. He's sitting there in P5. O'Hara in sixth, but that's because he's missed quite a number of rounds. But up until up until he missed a couple rounds, he was leading the championship comfortably, and the first couple of rounds he could not be touched. He was well out in front, both pace-wise and in the championship standings, but still looking to pick up a win this evening. Now I've got Greg Brock here. He is in 7th place in the standings on 1,042 points, and the reason both he and his teammate Hall have asterisks next to their name is because they've pulled out of the championship. So probably have those guys probably drop out of the top 10, if not, maybe not after tonight, but certainly by the end of the season. And then flipping over the page, and we've got Eaton there, 1,028. In fact, we'll just go up. I'll go back to the previous page for a moment, because if you have a look there from Macca on 1,152, all the way down to Lauder, 1,106. Absolutely nothing between those guys. And in the championship, it was just like that 8-lap race there. In the midfield, extremely tight, with Eaton followed by Lucas, Duro, Lauder, Crab, and Ches. And then Dominiak, Lynn, Phillips, and Keys rounding out the top 20. Alright, flipping over the page, and as you can see, the top 4 drivers in the Drivers' Championship, top 2 teams in the Teams' Championship, with Penrite Erebus just edging out Team Castrol plus Fitness. They did have a fairly sizable lead coming into the Enduros, but Team Castrol plus Fitness have been the form team, and if it weren't due to Courtson having some issues, being a little bit ill at the Queensland Raceway Enduro, they probably were going to win that race as well. They did have a sizable lead before he was a little bit unwell and struggled home in that one. But still, absolutely nothing between those teams. Got Rebel Club there in 3rd place ahead of Walkinshaw and Andretti United, who have pulled out of the championship. So they're probably going to finish in 3rd. Boost Mobile Motorsport there in 5th, followed by Shell V-Power, DJR, Team Penske, Team 18. Been looking quite handy the last couple rounds, sitting on 2,021 points, followed by Super Cheap Auto Racing, Bodlow Racing, and Harvey Norman Racing Team, rounding out the top 10. Alright, so we're just having a look here, just waiting for this server to come back up.
It's a good time for anyone to get up and go, get themselves a drink, and maybe someday not going to want to leave once this race starts.
Yeah, you're going to want to stock up on something to drink, some nibbles, and just to plop yourself in front of either the TV screen, on the couch, in bed, wherever you're watching, whether it be on the phone, computer, maybe even your TV as well. But still looks like a little whiles away while the server is getting set up. But as we saw in qualifying, race pace for some isn't matching their qualifying pace, which again, should mix things up in the long race. Alright, well, once again, I guess it'll give us a little bit more time, once again, just to go over the circuit that we're at. We do apologise, we're just sort of waiting for the server to come up just to give us some little bit extra to go over. But as we can see here, it's Sandown International Raceway, Springvale, Victoria, based in the southeast of Melbourne. 13 corners, endurance event this evening with one 8 lap qualifying race, which is won by Team Penrite Erebus, and then the 107 lap feature race, which is going to be very, very interesting. Traffic will be an issue because that midfield, as we saw, not quite up to the pace of the front runners, but at the same time, they're very, very close together. And if you're a front runner, you're not really going to want to have to pick your way through that. So you're going to need a little bit of luck to not lose too much time, and it's going to be vitally important for a leader to sort of come across the lap traffic piecemeal, or just catch them at the right time. You certainly don't want to be catching them at the top of the hill there, and having to go down the hill towards Dandy Road and losing a bit of time there, because that is a spot where a lot of the faster drivers do make up time, and then if they're battling as well, the cars in front might be side by side coming into the final couple corners as well, costing you more time. So that's going to be vital to look out for, and just staying out of trouble. Not sure exactly what happened with the Lynn O'Hara car at the end, but obviously they weren't able to stick out of trouble towards the end of that race, looking like a comfortable fifth place there in the end. But late mistake, and they're now starting down in, I think, 6th spot now, where they were a few seconds ahead of the car behind them at the time. So unfortunate for them, but they do have an alien driver in one seat. Also gives us a little bit of time just to go over the calendar, and as you can see, there's no Gold Coast. That was replaced by Alton Park last round. It's a fantastic little racetrack over in England. Certainly good fun from my end to drive the circuit, to sort of see what the drivers experience week in, week out. And then, as you can see, the final round of the Endurance Cup tonight here from Sandown Raceway. And then June 7th, we have the final round of the season, and we also have the Super Street format, I should say, coming back at the Newcastle Street Circuit, which is going to be a very, very tough event. And with 4 drivers still in contention for the Drivers' Championship, around a street circuit like that, who knows what's going to happen? I think we all remember the James Courtney and Jamie Whincup battle at Homebush that one year, where it come down to who could repair their cars the most. And who knows, maybe at the Newcastle Street Circuit we might see that again, or perhaps we'll see a repeat of a massive choke job, which McLaughlin did back in, I think it was 2017, I believe, where all he needed to do was finish in the top 10 at a few mistakes, a couple penalties, and then putting someone in the wall at the end meant that Jamie Whincup won the championship almost by default in the end there. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but hopefully we do have 2 fantastic races to end what has been a really, really good season, and going by the championship standings, a very, very close one at the top as well. So it's all to play for with 2 races to go. Alright, still just looking around here for the server. So I'm just refiring up old Championship Manager. It was not Championship Manager, Content Manager. But yeah, still just waiting around for the moment. So I do apologise.
Oh, this is a good chance for everyone out there to give us your best prediction as to who's going to win this race. So I'd like to see a top 5 prediction out there in chat.
Yeah, certainly a good time for that. I certainly can't pick the top 5. The top 2 is going to be tough, with both the Castrol Plus Fitness car and the Penrite Erebus car both being so quick. That said, though, it didn't seem, in qualifying at least, that the Castrol car looked too comfortable or quick, but they do have two capable drivers, and then of course we do have the Andrew O'Hara obviously to come in the race as well that could mix things up, although that car will be starting a little bit further back than what they would have hoped. So top 5, I honestly can't really pick it, because it could go to, the win could go down to 3 or 4 different guys, and at the same time they could all finish in a different position than what we think, because it's just so close between those guys.
Well, turn number 1 gets very tight. The 90-degree corners, they are usually a bit of a nightmare at the start of any race. And then you got turn 2, 3, and 4, where it's even tighter. Well, some of those guys could end up in the fence.
You never know. And as we've seen over the years, anything can happen. And, well, it usually does, whether it be sim racing or in real life. So we were able to get through the first lap without any major incident in the 8-lap race, which was pretty surprising, it has to be said, with 8 laps and qualifying, where you start the main race from up for grabs. So who knows what we'll see in this one. Might see drivers be a little bit more aggressive. We will have different drivers as well starting in this one. So who knows? We could see a mix of drivers, or the different mix of drivers see a different outcome, or hopefully we get all cars going through there nice and cleanly and we have a nice straight fight, at least in the opening stanza of the race. Alright, still just waiting around at the moment. We do have actually some drivers in some of the practice servers out there, which is I guess not a bad idea. If you are waiting for the server and you want to get some last set, a bit of setup work or practice in, it's actually a good time to do it. And then especially if your teammate is starting the car, jumping in the practice server, not too bad an idea to stay fresh and keep warm and stay in that groove. So when you do jump in the car, you're ready to go and you're not just jumping in cold.
That's a very good idea to do that. Of course, sitting outside of the car can get cold, and well, if you can be just a little bit quicker to get up to speed than your opponents, well, that can pay off at the end of the race.
It certainly could, and then you could also find maybe something in the setup that you're working on, you couldn't quite get it in practice and in qualifying, or even in that short little 8-lap race, but you put in another 20 minutes in, and you find something where you find a couple tenths. So you never know. We could see another sort of slight change in the order should these guys find something. But yeah, still at the moment just waiting around for the race server to get put up, and we'll be back racing once again.
I've already got a few predictions in your chat, and we have one prediction in my channel's chat. So we have that 7 predicting Cotter and Reed for the win, but then we have Haviland number 1 for the win. So a couple of good predictions there. I would personally like to lean towards the Delaney entry, the Castrol Nissan. That looked really good in the hands of the co-driver, and they qualified rather well, and they also did very well at Oulton Park. So they've got a very strong team there. I'll stand by this. I'm going to put money on the Castrol Nissan.
Well, it seems you and David Thornton in the YouTube chat would agree. He's picked out the Delaney Cortum car to win with the Matt Cotter and Peter Reid entry finishing second, and the Andy and Lynn car, or the O'Hara and Lynn car finishing in third, followed by Munro Lauder and the Humps Cluna car is his top five. And it has to be said, that's a fairly decent shout. And just looking at chat, so it looks like Delaney will be starting in the Castrol Plus Fitness team entries. So he was quite quick at Alton Park, and hopefully for he and his teammates' sake, they're quick again. Because if they do manage to win, obviously it helps his teammate in the championship, but it also moves him ever so closer towards both the Erebus drivers. And if his teammate and the Erebus drivers have a little bit of a hiccup at tonight or even tomorrow night, could see, or not tomorrow night, but next round, could see him just sneak home and take the championship after poor season, or not poor season, but poor start to the season. Has to be said to be a fantastic effort considering where he was in the first 3 or 4 rounds of the championship. So he's done a really good job in the second half of the season. Has been the form man really since probably round 7.
I've got some more predictions coming in. We have Brock 8222 saying O'Hara and Lynn has this, so that's a pretty safe bet. No adventure there. We have Johnish 1964 predicting Munro and Lauder to get into the top 3. So a couple of brave. Well, I mean, I reckon O'Hara and Lynn is not a very adventurous bet because, well, we got Andy O'Hara in the car. He is very quick. But Lauder and Munro, top 3. What do you think about that?
Well, I reckon those teams both have one really, really fast driver, and they've both got their second driver. While they're both decent, I don't quite think they're as fast as their main driver. So I think those two guys are probably going to be, or teams are going to be battling out for that final spot on the podium. With the Reid, the two top teams at the moment, with Castrol and Erebus both being very, very strong with 2 strong drivers. So that'll probably, barring an incident with those guys, probably lock them out of the first 2 spots. But I think I have to give the edge to the O'Hara and Lynn entry for that final spot, just because I think O'Hara's just too quick. I've seen too much racing from him to count him out. And if Lynn can do a job where he doesn't put any damage on the car, have too many adventures off the road, he will have set O'Hara up for a great opportunity for those guys to finish on the podium.
Yeah, I think it would be a very, very brave man who bets against O'Hara. Having just said that, I'll be betting on the Delaney Castrol Nissan. So, yeah, I wouldn't. Go, we're not going to tell until 107 laps later.
Yeah,
that's what we want. That's what we want, really.
Yeah, it's what you want. You don't want to be able to say, okay, this car's just going to walk it and no one's going to challenge them. Really, I can't pick a winner out of the 2 top teams battling it out in the Drivers and Teams Championship. I mean, I can't write those guys off. And then O'Hara, like if it's close towards the end and that car's in with a shout, I can't really take his name off it as well. And you never know. Like Munro, he can be on his day, he can be just as quick as O'Hara. And if they're in the right position as well, who knows? I mean, those 4 guys and 4 teams, you can't write off. So if it's close towards the end, hopefully all those 4 teams are all close together, and we have a grandstand finish after 107 laps.
Well, good. And who's going to be a little bit embarrassed by their predictions?
Well, who knows? Maybe we're all wrong. Maybe it'll be a Stephen Bradbury kind of moment, and we see someone from the midfield just come out of nowhere and pluck a win after the leaders all take each other out. I mean, it's sim racing. It's just racing in general.
That is true. It's never over until the checkered flag goes out. That's for sure.
Certainly. All right. Well, I'm just trying to find it at the moment. Just refreshing this. My But good news that the server is up and running.
And we have another prediction. Spinoz 17. I bet that me and Monty finish. Now that's a good prediction. That's a safe prediction. But not much adventure there. We want to know where you're going to finish, Spinoz. We want to know where you're going to finish.
And how are they going to do it? Like, are they going to say maybe a last lap move at the final corner to take that position, or is it going to be through pit stops? Are they going to have guys in front of them fall off the road? I mean, you got to be, as you said, just be adventurous and stick your neck out a little bit.
We want details, Spinoz. We want details. Confirmation that Munro will be starting in the Rabble car. And, well, Monty, Spinoz's teammate, objective is to survive. That's actually fair. That's actually fair. I'll agree with that one. So it's a long race. Don't want to throw it away in the first half.
Certainly don't. I'm just having a look at the moment in the Discord to see who is starting. So the Jack Daniels Hornet had Green driving the car in the qualifying race. Or in qualifying, had Taylor start in the quali race. And then Green will be starting the race here, or the main race here. In the Red Bull meme car, we've got McLaughlin will be starting the main race. I do believe we have Scott starting in the Mobile 1 car. Poole starting in the Better Electrical car. In the Team Haviland car, Nichols will be starting the main race. And actually, just scrolling down here, in the 48 Mobile 1 car will be Hobson starting in that car. We've got Hum starting in the Kmart Motorsport car. In the Red Bull Holden, we've got Dominiak starting, and we've got Crab starting in the Team Harvey Norman entry. For Team Star Wars Racing Team.
Okay, so we've got some details from Spinoz now. Survive 106 laps, dive bomb whoever's in front of me on the last lap. I like to hear that. That's good. That's good. Glad that someone is really willing to have a go.
It's a bold prediction saying there might be someone in front of him. I mean, what happens if, he's leading the race? Is he going to dive
Lap
bomb
car.
somebody? Lap car.
Lap car.
Lap car.
Yeah. Lap car.
Send it up the inside. Have a
Yeah,
crack.
why not? Why not? I can't see a problem. Checks out.
I can't see a problem except for the two front tyres are locked up and you're heading towards the B pillar.
Well,
Then you've got
it's the last lap. Last lap. What's going to happen?
You finish in second.
Oh, you got to take those risks, haven't you?
Not when you're in the lead on the final lap.
No adventure.
One off, I think.
Yeah, no, just have 107. Just go to the full hog, 100%. No point doing things half-assed. Let's be honest.
Well, I guess that's 99% asked, I guess, because you've gone 99 all those laps, and then on that last one, you've wimped out. But yeah, just still in the countdown. We are in the server, and Andrew in the chat saying Delaney has got this. We will see. It's certainly going to be very close between the front few cars, that's for sure. But
well, I've also got a very bold strategy from Vladimir Medretsky. Dive bomb every corner. We'll be in P1 in a few laps. No, that's fair. That's fair.
well, you could theoretically just dive bomb turn one so well that you start last and end up in the lead by the
Yeah,
end
but
of turn one.
I don't think that's possible. I don't think that's possible.
I've played enough Codemasters F1 games to know that with damage off, anything is possible. So
Codemasters doesn't count. Codemasters does not count. But Medretsky is his strategy. It checks out. I've done it a couple of times in real life. So it can be done. Can be done.
Alright, well, we've got a minute left. Just over a minute left in the countdown, so might as well just run through the grid for the 107 laps of Sandown International Raceway. We'll have the Reed Cotter car starting from pole position, followed by Cortum and Delaney, and then we have Lauder, Munro, Phillips, Guttison, Hum and Cicluna, Lynn O'Hara, Keys and Keane, Munro and Ferguson, followed by Hubbard and Nichols, Payne and Crabb rounding out the top 10, followed by Ches and Eaton, Runch and Dominiak, Monty and Spinozzi in 13th, Ball and Knight, followed by McLaughlin and Davies, Richards and Simmons starting in 16th. Then we have Hobson and Scott, Newman and Cunliffe, followed by Taylor and Green and Pope and Poole, rounding out the 20-car field.
Well, we're just about getting set for a start. 10 seconds to go before this incredible endurance race begins. Almost got 6 lights. And we are away. And the field streams down to turn number 1. But it does...
a couple cars off there at turn 1. I think the Harvey Norman car, and there was looks like a Castrol VF Commodore off in the back as well. But the Reed Cotter car out in the lead. They've got a couple of second gap already over the course of the Delaney car. As we now rush to the top of the hill.
Back down the field, looks like they're trying to go 3 wide into Dandenong Road again. So we didn't get any action kicking off here on lap 1 in the sprint race, but we get some here now. See a Red Bull car, Dukes of Hastings is into the fence.
That's a big one. That is a big one.
In the fence.
That's Runch and Dominiak, and yeah, I think that's Dominiak behind the wheel. That would probably be severe damage with that, and that was a big hit into the wall. So to the back of the field they go. Only consolation is they've still got 106 laps to make up the time lost. And it doesn't look like out of all that though that they've lost too much time. So hopefully the damage isn't too bad. And well, they've got time to rectify the situation with so long to go.
Yeah, not an ideal start. And it comes back to that whole risk management that we were talking about. It was lap 1 and he tried to go side by side through Dandenong Road. Turned out to be not a real good judgment, but he ended up getting forced onto that curb, and that absolutely launched the car, and he had no hope of recovering. So, but still, again, while you can't win the race on the first lap, you can certainly lose it, and you can lose it in more than one way.
Certainly can. We did have a couple cars off on the exit of turn 1, still the second lap there. Didn't look like it caused too many issues. I think right on board the Lynn O'Hara car, chasing down the Super 2 Kmart car, and had to check up as the car was sort of caught on the exit curve there, and now having to go defensive. So, pretty sure it's O'Hara in the car, and he's looking to get a move on and get to the front of the field as soon as possible. But not making it easy.
Well, why would you anyway? I mean, we've got to give O'Hara a bit of a challenge. And, oh, on my channel, at my first subscriber, thank you to Ruka. Subscribing at tier 1, so thank you very much, Ruka. But back to the action.
Well, out front, it looks like Reed and Cotter just getting away, and it actually the Lauder Munro car still doing a good job there in P2.
Well, he's actually progressed. He was down in, he was chasing the Cortum Delaney car the previous lap, so we've missed that, unfortunately, while we're focusing on O'Hara.
Yeah, so they have nipped up into P2, and Castrol car behind them, not really putting them under too much pressure, so it looks like they've got a bit of pace in that thing, and perhaps just the Castrol car just struggling a little bit at the moment. But we go back a couple of spots though, and back in P5. and Humps and Luna car starting to form a little bit of a train with Boost Mobile Motorsports car and the Team 18 car right there as well. Then we go back a couple more spots, and got the Hubbard and Nichols car right behind the Car Sales Nissan, and Chisholm not too far away either. So a couple little battle packs forming, and the gap at the front actually just stabilising too at the same time. So it looks like we've got a very interesting first stint underway.
The Ronch Dominiac car, that's managed to get up to 17th, so he's already onto the back and making his way through the tail end of the field. And he's now onto the back of the Ball Knight Commodore. So that's next on his hit list. So I'll definitely keep an eye on him throughout the night and just keep tabs on where he is. As well, I'm watching him, he almost goes straight on at Dandenong Road, so maybe a bit of
Red Bull car off at Dandy Road there, joined right in front of the HRT car. Thankfully no contact involved there, so yeah, moved back. But at the same time, the Lynn O'Hara car has moved ahead of the Kmart Motorsport car, and now it's up to Keane to get the job done. A little bit further back, we also saw the Team Haviland car move ahead, the Team Car Sales car as well. So a couple little movers and shakers so far. The gap between first and second just stabilising about 1.9 seconds as well, so very, very tight between the top three. Also see Phillips and Guttis, a bit of mistake at the top of the hill there, and having to cut through the grass, as does the Humps and Cluna Kmart car, inviting Boost Mobile Motorsports car to make a move, not quite close enough to make a move. And with all that going, it's also allowed Team 18 car to close right up, as O'Hara was blocked. Couldn't do anything about it. So
he's got a run on him.
A lap ago, and clear air, and now he's got to contend with a few other cars here.
The Guttison Monster Energy Mustang just sidestepped the Boost Mobile Commodore. I think a bit of smart driving there, realising that he's under pressure from the Boost car, and Boost car's got pace. Rather than try to overdrive to keep the Boost car behind him, just sidestep him, let him keep going.
Also got a vicious battle pack forming behind the Team Haviland car as well. They were side by side with the Team Car Sales car into turn one. Might have been a little bit of minor contact, but nothing serious. But with that going on, it's also allowed the DJR Team Penske car to close up, and that's being overtaken by the Team Harvey Norman, well, attempted to be overtaken by the Team Harvey Norman car at the top of the hill there. So nice big train starting to form.
Well, those two were going at it in the qualifying race, weren't they?
I believe they were.
It wouldn't surprise me.
I do believe that the Harvey Norman car was involved in a battle or two in that 8-lap race. It looks like it's going to continue here. Get a block up there in the final corner.
Well, Lord and Munro car, the Rebel car that set the fastest lap of the race so far, 108 flat.
Yeah, that gap down to 1.5 seconds. The Corton Delaney car only 1.7 away, so they're still maintaining pace as well. And these front three, well, they're gone. They're 5 seconds ahead of the Boost Mobile Motorsports car. And they're going to take a little bit of catching. Perhaps need a safety car to get back into it with 5 seconds and that incredible pace from that front three.
It's a long race. have a go at this. Have a go at this. Someone just followed Motion's channel, and I love some of the names that come up on my stream sometimes. I am Cornholio has just followed, so thank you very much, mate.
Good old Beavis butthead.
Yep. It's not quite the best. The best I've ever had streaming is Surprise Ma the Farcar. So that's the best name I've had. So, follow and subscribe and come up with my notifications live on stream. That's the best one I've had.
I haven't had too many funny names like that, but I do see I am Cornholio in chat saying g'day. So g'day Cornholio. So g'day to Team Car Sales car, trying to get past the Monster Energy Ford Mustang here after they made a mistake. So they're starting to slip in this one. They were running sitting in fourth for a few laps there, starting to fall back. And, they've got a couple of angry cars right behind them. And at the front, actually, the Rebel Club car was for a moment within a second of Reed and Cotter in the Everest car, but they have dropped away just a little bit, so perhaps a little bit of a mistake there. And the hairpin. Back to this battle for 8th place. Looks like the Ches Eaton car's made a mistake. They're having to go defensive.
Almost 3 wide.
Now, I have seen passes around the outside of that penultimate corner there, but you need to be right alongside. If you hang it around the outside, you've got the inside for the final corner. It didn't quite work out this time, but they've had a decent run out of the final corner.
They're about to go 3 wide. The Penrite car going straight up the centre. He's got him. Can he pull it up? No.
It was
that
ambitious.
was brave. That was brave. Yeah, take your hat off to that guy. At least he's having a go. I mean, we're on lap 9. Some people would be playing conservative. No, he's going 3 wide into turn 1. That's brilliant.
Well, you can take the CRC sponsorship off the back and just put a stamp and just send it on it, because that is what he did.
Well, no, he used the CRC just to slip through there.
Wasn't able to pull it up, and yet still had a crack. And also didn't take anyone out while doing so. So if you are going to have a crack, and it's going to be risky, you don't take anyone out. Well,
yeah, go for it.
Go for it. So great effort. He's still right there as well, so we might see him have a crack a lap or 2 down the road as well. Just
107.9 from the Lord and Munro car. So
1 second between first and second at the moment. Like those front 3, they really aren't getting away from each other.
And I have a sneaking suspicion, looking at 9th place, the Monster Mustang, looking at just how often he's locking the brakes, I reckon he has flat spotted those tyres already.
Possibly. Maybe he's just let the brake bias just a little bit, so it looks like they're going to drive a change back there. So a bit of drama for those guys.
Oh, that is a very early pit stop. I'm hoping that is strategy for those guys. Just because, of course... Oh, contact at Dandenong Road. Sorry, I was just
saw
keeping an eye on that.
In the background, the Ches Eaton car. I don't know how it didn't have a major accident down there, but thankfully, all cars avoiding big accident in the wall. And the Lynn O'Hara car, there we go, fastest lap of the race, 107.938. And did have a look for 4.2 between themselves and Corsom and Delaney up the road as well. So they're slowly chipping away at those front 3 cars, but at that pace, it's going to take them a little while to get back there. So the Phillips Garrison car on the inside there. I think if that was to try and make a move or go defensive, but it's down to 10th now, and Crab now up into P9. I believe we saw that car off the road, maybe not lap 1, but certainly early on, and they dropped down the field, so they're recovering nicely, but they've got 2.5 seconds to the next distance up the road. They
got involved in some shenanigans during the qualifying race, so that could be why he is so far down.
Certainly could be. And the Richard Simmons car, the Penrite Erebus Junior team, they're going around the outside at the top of the hills to see another very fast 107.9 from Lynn and O'Hara.
Yeah, he's winding up. He's getting into a groove.
And going forward, actually, the gap between second and third's come right down. So I think the Rabble Club car, I think Munro's made a slight mistake somewhere, because that gap a lap ago was about 1.2 seconds. Now 2.1 seconds between first and second, and only half a second between second and third. So they've definitely made a mistake somewhere, and now they're coming under a bit of pressure. Once again, we see another slight change of position. The P11 with the DJR Team Penske car getting back ahead. Team Penrite Erebus Junior team. One of the closer battles on track. Further back though, back in 16th, we've got McLaughlin with a little bit of a train behind him in the Super 2 entries. the Team Better electrical car not too far away, and they've got the Monty and Spinozzi car right behind them as well. And again, metronome out there. O'Hara 107.8 now, so he's just shaving about half a tenth a lap off the fastest lap for the last 3 to 4 laps. So he's pushing out there and trying to recover from being slightly out of position at the start.
On this battle for 16th, got 4 cars in a line there. Got the McLaughlin, Pope Pool, Monty Spinoz, and Hobson Scott. All in a line there, battling for 16th position. Hobson is by far the fastest driver in that group. So that's going to be quite interesting to keep an eye on, as I think the Ball Night car has just rejoined the track. They're 2 laps down.
They are back out there, which is good to see. One thing I think to look out for is with the driver changes. I think we'll see a number of drivers go a lap or 2 down. And we've got the Ches Eat cars going around. Just caught the yellow on the HUD there, and there we go. They've gone around. So they were battling for 11th place. They're now down in 15th, and a gaggle of cars in front of them. Also, the Penrite Erebus Junior team dropped a couple of spots as well, so perhaps they've made contact somewhere, and they've both dropped time because they're now behind the Red Bull Racing team as well as the
I think you're right. There may have been some contact between Chaz Eaton and the Erebus car, because Richards just fell in behind the DJR Mustang. Yeah, so bit of a redress, but up ahead, that's Dominiak. Dominiak in trouble again.
But able to, well, live to fight another day there. There's all kinds of sideways, perhaps a little bit of contact or just a loss of the rears.
Definitely contact there. He was going up the inside of the Norton Hornet, but well, he's almost on the edge of that top 10 after going around on lap 1.
Yeah, so they've done a good job to recover to P11, but they've got 14.5 seconds to the Phillips Guttison car, which has struggled a bit in this first stint. They were up as high as 4th, now running in 10th, but at the last few laps they've been doing okay and just sticking around the Pain Crab Team Harvey Norman car, so they're still in a decent position. And I've got to say, a couple of quite achievements. We haven't spoken much about them so far, but the 2 Super 2 entries, the Team Kmart car and the Team Haviland car, 6th and 7th, doing a really good job and flying the flag for the Super 2 drivers.
Yeah, they've definitely flown under the radar this first 15 laps of the race. Although we did focus on the Humsakluna entry where they tried to hold off the Andy O'Hara car, but still, he managed to actually hold him off for quite a few laps, and that's quite impressive. Meanwhile, back at the front, I think Lauder's made another mistake because he's dropped to over 3 seconds behind the Penrite car.
Well, both their second and third, 108, they're in the high 108s on that last lap, and Boost Mobile Motorsports car, that was a 108 dead, so they're running really, really close to their optimal time. The Boost car, these 2 guys in second and third though, high 8s, they are coming up to some traffic at the moment though. But the gap between 3rd and 4th, only a second, so last couple of laps that gap has really come down quite a bit.
It's a very good point from my chat, Aussie Luna. Munro and Ferguson are also Super 2 drivers. So that's 1, 2, 3 in the top 10 of Super 2 drivers.
Indeed it is, so they're doing a really good job and showing up some of the main game drivers.
Punching above their weight for sure, so well done to those guys. Meanwhile, this battle up the front, the Boost Mobile car is right on the back of the Castrol Nissan.
Yeah, 109.4 for the Castrol Nissan, 108.5 for the Boost Mobile Motorsport car. There was a little bit of traffic, as you can see the HRT car in the background there that did sort of catch out the Castrol Nissan. Not so much because of their slow driving, more so just where they caught them. Certainly helped out O'Hara in the Boost car.
It's also helped out the Rabble car because now the blowtorch is off of them.
start to see the Castrol car moving off the line, just trying to break the toe a little bit. Trying to sort of distract the car behind. So O'Hara there not phased.
I've honestly questioned the actual usefulness of weaving down the straight to try and break the toe, because I really don't think it's worth it. I think you're just costing yourself a little bit of time, and the driver behind's just going to move in behind you anyway. So no matter where you go, he's going to move in behind you. What a waste of time. Just stick to the racing line.
I think it all comes down to which cars you're racing. A supercar might not make too much of a difference being big and heavy. The slipstream isn't quite as big, but if you say jump in an open wheeler, an F3 car for example, where it happens all the time, as you see the Red Bull junior team car there, lap down and around at the exit of turn 4 there. Oh, he spun right in front of the Keen car, and that is a terrible rejoin. Thankfully no contact.
Well, to be fair, it's not very easy to do a safe rejoin in sim racing unless you've actually got look left and right mapped to your steering wheel, but even then it's still not easy.
It certainly isn't. We've had the lead, put a bit of a lead over the Rebel Club car, 4.8 seconds, and the Rebel Club car has been caught out on this last lap, as has the Boost car, because they've lost a bit of time to the Castrol car, being 1.5 seconds down now on the Lauda Monroe car. Yeah, 7/10 slower than the Corson and Delaney Castrol Ultima. So that gap is now under a second once again.
Well, the field's starting to stretch out now, but thankfully it's still quite tight at the top, with the exception of the Reed Cotter car. So that's really promising for the rest of this 107 lap race.
It certainly is. We still do have pit stops which will shake things up, I'm pretty sure. There is a minimum driver count, lap count for drivers to complete. So what we may see, drivers put their second driver in the car early, get those laps over and done with as quickly as possible, and then get the lead driver back in the car. And then there's also the load times of the PCs also playing a bit of an issue, which will also be a little bit of a strategy issue for some teams. So you do want the guy with a better computer to probably jump in and end up loading quicker than the other driver.
Now, see, I'm just wondering, with the early pace of the Rebel Nissan and how he's just dropped back, I wonder if he's just been given the order just to go conservative, save tyres and save fuel.
It may play into it. Maybe there's a lap count that they're trying to get to, and at that pace that they were running in the first couple of laps, they wouldn't have got there. But I think... he's almost around, but he's in the gravel trap. He just clipped a bit of a bumpy spot on the curb there. It does stick out, and that's going to cost him. And 2 positions, 1 corner. And, that's exactly what the Penrite Aerobus team did want with the Castrol Nissan now back up to P2.
Yeah, you just saw it then. As he came down Dandenong Road and got off onto the curb, the car just sort of rotated very awkwardly and then overcorrected just as he tried to slow it down for the second left-hander when it tightens up. And well, these cars, skinny little tyres, heavy weight, no downforce, they don't like that. They don't like braking while sideways.
They certainly don't. And when you add in a bit of cross weight as well, and you're trying to ask a lot of the tyres and brakes, it's not going to do what you want. And it didn't on that occasion. Thankfully though, it didn't cost them too much time.
Well, the battle for 7th is also starting to hot up as Hubbard is battle for 6th I should say. Well actually, yeah, battle for 6, it's 3 cars. 3 cars in there.
The Super 2 battle, so they're battling to be the lead Super 2 car. And at the moment, it looks like the Kamo car just being balked a little bit by the Red Bull Junior Team car. car.
That's awkward.
Yeah,
Oh, there
like
was a little bit of a touch there on the lap car.
Well, it looked like
That's going to give Hubbard an opportunity.
It looked like he's a bit defensive going into there. Yeah, he's having to go a little bit defensive into the penultimate corner. They've all closed up right now.
I'm almost guessing that the car sales Nissan is just being cautious and just sitting back, waiting for these two to just sort of tangle up, trip each other up, and then just sweep through and take the position.
Might be an idea. Let's play it safe. It's still a long way to go. So these guys take each other out and you can take two easy positions. Well, it's a Haviland car. A lot of curve there at turn 3. He's had a good run and he's up the inside. So
brilliant dive. Brilliant dive bomb there.
Set that up beautifully with a fantastic run through the chicane, but now he's got to watch out because he's obviously punching a massive hole in the air. The Kmart car wants to get back up to P6.
Not over. This is Brave going through Dandenong, too wide.
We've seen cars run wide here before and it's happened again. It's going to cost him a position to the car sales car.
Yeah.
But Hubbard and Nichols, they've run wide there and they've rejoined right in front of the car sales car. Now the Kmart car's just going to come through and take all those positions back.
Oh, as you were, gentlemen, as you were.
Yep, and we've also
God, where have I seen this before? This particular scene, I feel like I've seen this before.
And we've got the Lynn O'Hara car in the pits as well, so strategy coming into play now. They've just left. I don't believe, it doesn't look like they've changed drivers. And we've got another car in the pits. That's the Lachlan Davies Red Bull car as well. So perhaps wanting some clear air. The boost car in the pits. But unfortunately, he's going to be right behind that massive battle pack of Super 2 cars. So, was it big
sideways for massive sideways moment. He was lucky not to clout the fence there in the exit turn 4.
Shades of Van Gisbergen in the wet from Sydney Motorsport Park a few years ago with that one. But it will be interesting actually when the boost car does catch the back of these guys to let him go. And
that's not going to happen. They're in the middle of a three-way battle. It's not going to happen.
But if, let's say, the car sales car lets him go and then sticks with O'Hara, perhaps he could follow the boost car through as he makes moves. So might be an idea that one of those guys, the Haviland car or the car sales car, to think about, to try and make it easy for yourselves, because they're not really going to be able to stick with O'Hara if he gets ahead of him. Or
I think it's more to the point that I don't think any one of those drivers are looking in the mirror, except maybe Cicluna, or the Cicluna Hum entry.
Might be smart if he just turned his mirrors and just didn't look. So absolutely nothing between these guys at the moment. Exactly what I think Lauda, the Rabble Club and the Castrol team would have wanted.
Ooh, jeez.
A lot of curve usage there.
Yeah, from the Haviland car. I thought it's actually quite amazing that he managed to gather it up. Meanwhile, just behind, this car sales car, he's now got O'Hara on all over the back of him.
O'Hara six it, and he's going to get the overlap here and should get the move done into turn 1.
And just saw the flames spitting out the side of the Nissan there, so he got out of the throttle.
He's smart driving, just get out of it. He's not really going to be able to stick with them, but he does have to watch his mirror because the Paint Crab car, the Team Harvey Norton car, has caught up to the back of him pretty quickly. So his pack has grown once again. But O'Hara will be looking just to clear these guys as quickly as possible, get into clear air, otherwise pitting early isn't going to pay off more. So the Monty Spinozzi car in the pits, says DNF, but I'd say they're in the pits and changing driver.
Oh, God, the car sales car almost went into the back of the Boost Mobile car. Yeah, that was very close.
Might be looking a little bit more in his mirrors as opposed to what's in front of him. So O'Hara once again looking to set up a move into turn 1, set up that wider entry line. And sticking right into slip three, pulls out now. And does he get the move done? Yes, he does, but the Haviland car's going to fight him, and they're going to go side by side through the chicane. No, the Haviland car pulls out of it. That was smart, actually. Because if they went side by side, I could see the car sales car sizing up a move there. So,
more to the point, I think I would have seen FG Falcon and a ZB Commodore in the fence.
well, that too.
And, all that has given the Kmart car a great break. And, well, the pressure is off him now. Now, I wonder if he's aware that it's O'Hara, and O'Hara has already made a pit stop.
I think that his teammate's probably in his ear saying that this guy's pitted. And in fact, he's gone straight into the pits. So, out of all the Super Duty guys, he's decided to go.
I was about to say, I don't think his teammate would be in the air because his teammate's in my chat.
There you go. But they've decided to pull the trigger and come in. Might be a good idea for them. Put some fresh tyres on and get a little bit of an undercut on the cars they're racing, as well as not lose too much time. The interesting is the lap times that this car is going to be able to set now that it's in clear air. That said, it does have a lap HRT right in front of him on this lap.
Yeah, that's the ball 9 entry, so they pitted fairly early, and I think they did a driver change. About a lap. Oh, that's awkward. That is. Oh, that was awkward.
That's
God,
that's why you generally let someone go around the outside, and it's easier for them to let him go. But it's just really awkward down the bottom of the hill there if you're lap car and you're a little bit slower.
It's often the thing I try to tell anyone who's sort of struggling and they find themselves getting lapped. And you don't have to jump out of the way or drive yourself off the track just because you have a blue flag. You're not meant to impede the driver lapping you, but you don't have to drive yourself off the track. The best thing to do, get onto a straight, get off the racing line, or even stay on the racing line and just lightly roll out of the throttle and let them go past you down a straight. That is the best option for you.
Yeah, I think in that situation, just racing at normal speed, sticking to the racing line, and then once the faster car is close enough, they can then make the move, or you could lift out of it just before a braking zone and let them go. When you try to slow down, especially that part of the track on the inside, it doesn't leave the faster cars anywhere to go because it's such a tight corner. But I think they might be a little bit of inexperience, and with time they should be able to sort of pick that up and avoid those kind of situations.
Well, once again, like I said, everyone seems to be under the impression that if you have a blue flag, you have to get out of the way now. No, you don't. That's not the rule at all. The rule is to let the lap car get by you unimpeded, and you trying to brake and.
Sorry to cut you off. The fastest lap of the race. He set a 109.0 on that last lap, so he has to make up for lost time battling these guys. And out of nowhere, 107.7. He's just pitted a few laps ago. Obviously, he's on new tyres. We know that, but he would have put fuel in the thing. So, well.
You think that's going to impede O'Hara setting the fastest lap of the race?
Well, clearly not. What can he muster this time around? In clear air once again. And what will the leaders do? Are they going to stick with it, or are they going to?
Well, let me have a look at my screen and just see what the total gap is from Reed and Cotter to Lyndon O'Hara. It's 34 seconds, and it is dropping like a stone. So it might be best to pit now, because if you try and leave it, O'Hara's going to get it.
Castrol car and the Gravel Club car within it were, I think, a 108.7, 108.8 and a 109.0. And there we go again.
107.5.
Another 2 tenths faster. He's 1.5 seconds faster than those guys. I know you're probably trying to play a strategy game, but at this rate, he's going to catch you and get ahead of you.
Yeah, I think in the next couple of laps, we're going to see some qualifying laps from O'Hara. So maybe his teammate has just let him off the leash.
And there we go. We've got our race leaders into the pit lane.
Maybe they've got the stream on and they've just heard my suggestion.
I think they probably would have seen on the screen. We've also got the Rabble Club car in the pits now. I don't expect Boost Mobile Motorsport car to take the lead, but in these last 2 laps, they really could jump the Rabble Club car here. It's going to be tight.
He's coming into the final corner now.
Yeah, so the Reed Cotter car has got underway, just leaving the pits. And,
Rabble car's still stationary.
Yep, there we go. So,
and there goes O'Hara.
And that's a big gap that he's put on there. It was only a couple seconds before.
Still stationary. He's going to come out right in the middle. Oh, no, he isn't. That's good.
Right behind,
but he's got 3 cars right in front of him.
Yeah, that is not ideal. Got the Super 2 entry, the Team Haviland car there in the pits, and they're changing driver.
And now Cordham and Delaney, they're still going. They're staying out. This is brave strategy.
Well, I think their strategy is just going to be go as long as they can. They're not going to worry too much, I don't think, about the minimum lap count for their second driver, because they have confidence in both their drivers, so that's probably why they're going to stick it out as long as they can, and maybe try and pit 1 less time, as they try and sort their way through some lap traffic at the moment.
Yeah, this is what's killing them, the lap traffic. I know it's early days, but this stage right here, this sets you up for that last 10 laps, that last run to the flag, and being stuck in lap traffic and losing a second here and there, that's going to hurt when we get to the end of the race.
It certainly is. I'll just cut to the Reed Cotter car as it went through turn 2 and 3, and they're pushing hard. That was a lot of abuse over the curbs, and if O'Hara keeps this up with his pace, he might force these guys into a mistake if they're having to drive the car that hard just to stay in front. So that's certainly one thing I reckon just to look out for. And there we go, the lock up at Dandy Road as well. So they're pushing as hard as they can, but that gap behind them still coming down. And also Delaney 109.4 for our race leaders. Now, what does the team right Erebus set? Cross the line, there you go, 107.9, so that's their personal best.
Meanwhile, back to the Boost Mobile car, 108.2, I think he got hit by traffic.
Yeah, the junior car went off the road in front of them at Dandenong Road there, so it did cost him a little bit of time as he was just cautious trying to go around it, but on this lap there, Reed Cotter car does have the Hornet right in front of it. There's also a big gaggle of cars with Team Better Electrical and the Riley Guttison cars just down the road as well. Caught that. Oh, we got the Guttison car around, and for a moment the Hornet was going to run into it. It sort of had nowhere to go. So the monster car around there, and the North car into the pits.
For the Guttison car, he's just got to be patient now. Those tyres are going to be quite warm, and it's very easy to have another spin after you've had a spin, and it just creates that snowball effect.
Yeah, especially if you do overheat those rear tyres, you're going to be battling for a few laps just to even stay on the track. As your rear tyres a bit warm and your rear tyres start sliding around a little bit, so that's at the top of the hill there in high speed corners, and certainly coming out of slower corners as well. So you don't want to overheat them, overcook them. It will give you a bit of a headache. Another thing to point out as well, the Keys and Keen entry, Team 18 in second place. They've yet to pit. And Reed Cotter car closing them down very, very quickly, but it looks like they're playing the same strategy game as the Castrol car, which has just entered the pits. So I expect that car to probably be well behind the Boost Mobile car.
Yeah, I think this is a pit stop probably about 5 laps too late, in my opinion. But they've probably got the notepad out, working out their strategy on the fly, so
Keys King car also in the pits.
So that's pretty well the entire field that's done a pit stop.
Reed Cotter car also now in the 107s. So they're travelling along quite nicely, but at the moment just stuck behind the mirror electrical car, so they're going to lose just a little bit of time here. And now the Supercars entry, the car sales car, they're up to third for the time being. Still yet to pit, but doing a good job. But they'll probably have to watch out for the undercuts with the Hummer Cicluna that pitted a few laps ago on new tyres, as is with Payne and Crab as well, Team Harvey.
Yeah, well, the rear tyres aren't looking too happy on the car sales car, just judging by the car's body language. He's coming out of turn 4, and I'm pretty sure we've just been seeing him every single lap tonight, just sliding the car as he gets on the throttle, so he's losing time every single lap.
Castrol, listen behind him, running over the grass, coming down the hill there. And they actually emerged ahead of the Rebel Club car, so things started just to unravel a little bit for those guys. A few seconds behind. And now we see the team, the car sales car in the pits.
Yeah, once again, I think more people just listening to the stream and listening to our suggestions, maybe.
Possibly.
Possible. Well, I like to think so.
Hopefully, I mean,
well,
it's good to have those views. Still in the pits, and yeah, I'm gonna lose out on ownership to the Kmart car.
Oh, easily, the Kmart car's just past them.
Yeah. In fact, they're gonna lose out to all those cars are still going, and so they will come out in 8th place ahead of the Red Bull racing car.
Oh, the Brunch Dominiac car, they're back up into the top 10. And for those who just joined our stream, they've had a bit of a shocker. They ended up facing backwards at turn 2 on lap 1. So for them to fight back into the top 10, that's a really decent effort from those guys.
Yeah, they're doing well at the moment. Still good 14 seconds behind the car sales car that just pitted, but if they continue to push on at this rate, I'm pretty sure they will catch up to the back of them. Probably that in the 60s if there's no mistakes. But Hummer Cicluna at the moment. The Kmart car still just ahead now of the Team Harvey Norman car. So that's another car that's recovering from an early race adventure. Now sitting in P7. And 4 tenths faster than the Kmart car on that last lap. Again, this car also a little bit sideways in turn 2 and 3. A bit cautious. Getting the power down out of turn 4. First and second, 107.9 for those guys, so they're well on their way to helping the rest of the field at the moment. That said though, those guys still haven't put their co-drivers in the car just yet. Just poke its nose out, just trying to distract the Kmart car. It's right under the rear wing of the Fiat Commodore. Hasn't had as good an exit. I don't think he's going to be close enough unless he's extremely brave to make a move into turn 1.
He's thinking about it. He thought about it.
Better under brakes, that's for sure. But just not quite close enough to get the move done. I think give it a lap or two and he probably will find himself in front. Just biding his time for the moment.
Doesn't hurt to be patient in endurance racing, that's for sure.
That's what racing is about.
Zahara back into the 107s again.
Also had the Reed Cotter car. It's just having a look through. They set their personal best on that last lap, so they extended their lead by a couple of tenths. 107.6 for those guys. So front two, they are travelling at the moment. Harvey Norman car right on the back of the Kmart car. Didn't have a good run at Dandenong Road. Up the inside.
He's got no choice. He's got to let him have it.
But the Harvey Norman car's run wide on the exit, and he's undone all his hard work. And thank you very much. I'll take my position back.
Well, it looked like the Harvey Norman car was trying to give space when he didn't really need to give space. He wasn't, maybe just wasn't sure where the Kmart car was.
Currently the closest battle on track is between these two guys. I'm just having a look at the moment. Yeah, between the leaders, about 4.5 seconds. About 4.5 seconds between the Castrol car and the Rebel Club car. And Runch Dominiac about 5 seconds ahead from the Phillips Guttison Monster Energy Ford Mustang. As you see, just as we ride on board the Kmart car, you can just see how much more aggressive under braking, how much better under braking the Harvey Norman car is, making up a significant amount of time at Dandenong Road. We did see a little bit of lap or two ago into turn 1 as well, and it is better under brakes, but at the moment, with that mistake, the last lap, unable to put it to much use.
No, realistically, in these sorts of battles, you're waiting for the driver ahead to make a mistake. Sometimes just cannot force the move.
So probably going to have to think a corner or two ahead, or even a lap ahead, to try and force a little mistake, force the Kmart car maybe to go a little bit defensive somewhere it doesn't want to, and then set up a move on the exit somewhere. Later.
Looks like the Nissan can get to the apex a lot better on Dandenong Road than the Kmart car. And now...
A little bit of a traction shift for the Harvey Norman Cup. That is where he's better. Coming down the hill at a Dandy Road, he's much, much better. As you see the Kmart car having to go defensive. Harvey Norman car set up a move, but again, not the best line through the final corner. The Kmart car now is going to defend his position quite nicely.
Yeah, definitely the Kmart car is stronger coming out of the corners, while the Harvey Norman car really closes up the gap into the corners. So maybe a bit more braking stability from the Nissan.
Certainly a lot more confidence under brakes, that's for sure. Under traction though, it's all over the place. It's moving left and right. Perhaps just need to be a little bit more conservative with the right foot, but just try and set up a better exit.
Well, it's costing him a few tenths here and there, and that's hurting him. Maybe a little bit of impatience as well, or even frustration.
Big lock up for the Kmart car, and it's going to run wide, and there we go, there's the mistake. They did a good job holding on for so long, but just a little bit too much force on the middle pedal, and the car was a little bit weighted to the side. Big lock up and wide. There we go. Question remains though, what pace does this Harvey Norman car have? 13 and a half seconds to the Team 18 car down the road. Team Car Sales car, just checking, they did their personal best on that last lap, 108.6. But unfortunately they've just come up to the HRT car that's walked them a little bit on the exit of turn 1. They're 13 seconds behind the Kmart car that they were battling with earlier, but if they continue on at that pace, you might see them duking it out a little bit later on.
I wonder if the Kmart car has just used up its tyres a little bit worse, or maybe they didn't even take tyres.
A very bold move, taking tyres. Looks like that's the Penrite Aerobics Junior team. They've just done a pit stop, lap 43. They've come out just behind Chesney. 2.2 seconds. And they've got the Team Harvey Norman car trying to lap them as well. It's sort of left the door ajar, and it's sort of compromised everybody there. And then the Kmart car's going to come swooping in and almost steal the position back. Oh, and we've got a change as well at the front with the Boost Mobile Motorsports car in the pits. So they're getting their second stop done nice and early. That gap had sort of stabilised between 4.5 to 5 seconds. But once again, they're pitting every 20 or so laps. Now, I'm just going to have a little look actually. As you see the Louder Monroe car, they set their personal best 107.8 on that last lap. They come out just in front of that Boost car. If they didn't set that quick lap, they'd be behind it. But just trying to find information on the minimum amount of laps a driver has to set. And I think, well, I can't remember off the top of my head what it is, so I'm just going to have a look.
Pace is pretty well steady between second and third. They both did high 108s, so neither driver's really pulling away or making progress. There's a bit of a stalemate at the moment at this early stage between the Castrol Nissan and the Rabble Club Nissan. Harakar is sitting just behind them.
It is probably going to start closing in. 2.1 seconds between Boost ZB, Rabble Club, Ultima. For the quietness, I'm still just trying to find the minimum lap count. 35 laps, there we go. So 35 laps is the minimum count. So I reckon seeing O'Hara in the car, or start the car, I reckon if we count back 35 laps to the end, that is when we'll see that car in for the final time, and we'll have Lynn finish off. None of these front runners have changed driver. And speaking of the Rabble Club car, we've got that gap between themselves and the Boost car. Absolutely nothing now. So looking further down the field, looks like we've got a couple of battles starting to form, or that will form soon enough. With 2 seconds between 11th and 12th, and then 2.6 between 12th and 13th. So yeah, 8/10 difference between O'Hara and Munro on that last lap.
And well, the battle for third, is on. And this is position, and pit stops aren't going to really swap them over either, so it's almost do or die in a way.
This is for effective position. Both going about strategy in a different way. We've got the Ricotta car in as well, so they're looking to not lose too much time to the Boost car. They've had to adjust their strategy because they lasted quite a while in their first stint before pitting. This time around though,
oh, this is a driver change.
And a driver change as well, so they will lose out. But those guys are confident in both their drivers. but they will drop a little bit further down due to the driver change. Back in the game, so now they're just waiting for the pit stop to go. Drivers slowed at 107.9 for O'Hara on that last lap. Gravel Club car picking up the pace just a little bit, 108.1 on that last lap. 5.2 seconds separating the two distances in first and second. It's the Havoline car just in front of the Gravel Club car. Just is now getting out of the way. Looks like he's just blending out of the throttle. The racing line. A little bit of a lock up there for Munro. Didn't cost him any time though.
That'll give encouragement to the Boost mobile car. Looked like he just struck the curb a little bit awkwardly, and that's going to compromise his exit. Now he starts doing the side-to-side game.
Yeah, just trying to break the toe immediately out of the corner and then realising that O'Hara followed him, just moved straight back to the racing line. So looks like the Ches 8 car's gone around, it has, at the top of the hill there. So, and they've got, looks like a little bit of dirt damage to their car. So I wonder if they'll pit on this lap just to sort that out. They've lost out a couple spots from that. But yeah, back up at the front. Gravel Club car holding on older tyres, of course. This mobile car only pitting 5 laps to go.
It's almost feeling like a matter of when, sorry, not if.
Crossed the line, both these guys. A couple of tenths faster than the race leader on that last lap. 108.1s.
What pace is the Reed Cotter car doing? Gonna have to wait a little while, I guess.
It's actually 108.3 on that last lap. That's their first flying. That's the first flying lap. The driver that's jumped in that car. This car's close as it's been the last couple of laps, but not close enough to think about a move on top of the hill. I think the strategy from their point of view is to try and just get O'Hara into the lead and just to push on, build up as much of a lead as he can in the next stint and a half.
No, he's got a run on him this time. Gap's closing, he's pulled out. He'll have him in the braking zone.
And O'Hara gets the job done.
Easily.
And he can now set his sights Team Castrol plus Fitness, Nissan Altima. That said, a few cars between them though. Timken VF, the old 2000 HRT livery. Also got the Red Bull racing car there as well. Actually no, that was just in front of the race leader, my bad. But to see this lead fluctuate with all this traffic now that these leaders are coming across, so this all might change if they get caught out. As you see the Monty and Spinozzi car there in the pits that have changed drivers as well. HRT car now getting out of the way. That's exactly what O'Hara would have wanted. 108.3 for the race leader. 108.2 for the race car, so not
and
by
that was with a passing move too.
Cotter car. That's a 108.1 on that last lap. So just cut to them for a moment. They've not really got too much in their way. They've got one lap car in front of them. That's a Team 18 car. That's a lap ahead, but they have to do a driver change. That said though, that car being a lap ahead might not want to let them go. So see the boost car maybe losing a little bit of time behind the Timken car, but there's nothing really that car could do. It does pull the Rabble Club car just a little bit, but again, lap car, nothing really they could do in that situation, doing the smart thing and just getting out of the way down the main straight. Just going back to P6 as well, the car sales car has closed that gap up between themselves and the Kmart car, now 1.4 seconds, so they've pushed hard and closed that gap back up once again. As we approach halfway, it's 107 lap race. That 7/10 difference. Car sales car 7/10 faster on that last lap. 1.2 seconds between the two. Looks like the Team Kmart strategy is to just go long and fill her up. While we've seen a couple other teams, most notably the Bruce team, pitting every 22 laps to maintain fresh tyres. And probably shorter pit stop time too, without having to fill the tank as well. And Phillips Gutterson wants the car in the pits, and they're changing driver. But we do have our next battle now underway. The Kmart car trying to fend off Archibald. I was going to say Hart ducked into the pits, so he wants no part of that battle. We did see that actually earlier on, when it, I think the boost car had just caught on to the back of him, and he just got out of the way and pitted.
And driver change for the Humsa car.
Yeah, so they're maybe looking to get the 35 laps in. And then with 17 to go, perhaps put the lead driver back in. And, well, there's our fastest lap of the race. Bit of clear air on that one. And, well, the Castrol car just set a personal best on that last lap. I'm thinking, yeah, that will definitely put time on O'Hara on that one. And he's gone out and just set the fastest lap of the race. So, once these guys do get a bit of clear air and a little bit of fuel out of the tank, they are absolutely flying out there. Further back, also got a battle starting to form up between this Hornet, Taylor and Green, and the DJR Team Penske car, Ches and Eat. In 1 second separating them. The Newman Cunliffe car in the pits.
Yeah. The Shell Mustang is sort of fighting back after a few mistakes, and really saw that the same thing at Alton Park. They were quick, but they just kept making mistakes. So if they can just string it together, those guys would be at the front.
Certainly much higher than where they are at the moment. A realistic goal for them, I think. So they can get into the 10 by getting past the Nissan in front of them, but the Penrite Junior team, I think, is probably a realistic goal for them. That car about 15 seconds down the road. If they do push hard and find a bit of time as they do enter the pits, perhaps the Reed Simmons car would be catchable.
Just as we were pumping up that battle between the Ches Eaton car and Taylor Green car,
Into the pits.
Shell Mustang, yeah, into the pits.
Also got the Paint Crab car into the pits and changing drivers as well.
We've had a spin coming onto the main straight. It's the Newman Cunliffe car, Timken entry. Looks like maybe just got a little bit too heavy on the throttle coming out of the final corner and just looped it around. But luckily he's been able to rejoin and not have any contact with anyone else as they were going around him.
A little bit wide as well into the final corner, as is the Northern Davies Junior team behind him. They've got Paint Crab car just behind them. And then the Humps and Kuna car in 12th that has had a driver change is behind them, looking to hustle them along. And that probably is for, I think, maybe not for effective position, but they will be close together when the Harvey Norman car does change drivers in that car. So the Kmart car does want to get a move on and probably get past it. Now I've just seen that Poke Pool car now into the pits as well. Gap at the front steadily come down to 4.2 seconds over the last 2 laps. Looks like they've started to clear the majority of the traffic that they were going to run into. So had a possible change of position here. Payne and Crab, that is for position actually. So once all the timing is shaked out, that was for position between these two cars, and the Harvey Norman car losing out to the Kmart car for P11.
Good little move.
And Erebus Junior team now also in the pits and changing drivers. And the Team 18 car, I think, had a little bit of an off. I did see the yellow come up next to their name. And as you can see, another fastest lap for O'Hara. Gap now 3.6 seconds. He's in clear air now. And hustling that car along nicely. He'll be hoping that Penrite Erebus car catches a bit of traffic. They're about 8.5 seconds behind Runch and Dominiak in the recovering Red Bull car. But they'll be hoping that Red Bull car stays out and sort of block that Penrite Erebus car for a few laps.
And we've just gone past half race distance, and so far, obviously it does look as though the O'Hara Lynn entry is in the box seat. Although, as I say that, the Reed Cotter car just does a 107.9. How's everyone's predictions shaping up so far? You still happy with them? You want to change your predictions? Anything? Let us know in the chat. We have one prediction from Ruka. Lauder for the win. That is... It's game. I like it.
For the win, eh?
Yeah. It's game, but I mean, it's possible as well. Because Lauder has mostly stayed out of trouble. He hasn't really put into the fence or had a massive off-track excursion. And Munro is very comfortable in the car, so he could put his teammate in a position where he has got an easy run to the line, and he's up against maybe a driver who isn't as confident, such as Lynn. So that's possible.
Speaking of Lynn, I've just seen a comment in our YouTube chat. He's done no practice, so poor Andy's going to have his work undone, says Josh Lynn. So, well,
I don't like the lack of confidence there. Come on, have some confidence.
Yeah, Lenny, you can do it, mate. Just have faith and just send it.
Yeah, sending is always the answer. Also got spin-ons in my chat saying race hasn't quite gone to plan, being an 18th at the moment. Mate, you still got over 40 laps left to run on a very tight little circuit. Anything can happen.
Just looking at where the Castrol car is compared to the Erebus car, there's about half a track between those guys. They've now both done driver changes, so the Penrite team looking in really good shape at the moment. They're 25 seconds behind the next car, but they're well ahead of the Castrol car.
Everyone's all strung out. This has to be probably one of the hardest parts of this job. Trying to call a race when everyone is so strung out. It almost makes me think to myself, God, I prefer sprint racing, but endurance racing, so much more going on strategically. And also got another prediction. The Lutz.
Yes.
Lutzi Baraka, probably Reed Cotter. That's fair.
Yeah, they're looking the goods at the moment, but just back on trying to, I guess, fill time when commentating longer distance races. With a set of course, it does make it a little bit difficult as we don't quite have proper live timing, and the driver swaps can be a little bit awkward. But for me, I think endurance racing it's the ultimate form of racing. It's like test match cricket. It's not just about going out there and having a really good short spurt. You've got to just stick with it for a long period of time. You can't just go in there with an attack mindset. There's times where you do have to conserve a bit, and it brings out the best in teams and drivers. So when you do win these long races, for me it feels a lot more satisfying than just winning a 10 lap sprint race where you don't have to think or do as much.
I think sprint racing has a very different vibe to it, because you're definitely on edge a little bit more than what you'd be in endurance racing. I definitely have spatial awareness. Whereas endurance racing, well, definitely have to think more, laps and laps and laps ahead. And also shout out to everyone mocking me in chat. That last username is actually Lucifer AKR. So yeah, not Lucifer Raka.
got the Lauder Monroe car in the pits and they're changing drivers, so what will the pace be? The second driver in the car. We're on lap 65.
Well, Munro put it on pole position, and he was faster than O'Hara.
I think he started the car though, so what can Lauder do? That is the question. I think so. Just go and have a look. I do believe he did, but current driver thread. Doesn't quite say actually.
I would say that Lord is in the car because he hasn't jumped into my chat and corrected me on anything, so he must be in the car right now.
Yeah, we've got the Taylor Green car also. They've just pitted, and they're also doing a driver change.
Got a little battle brewing for 12th between the McLaughlin Davies car and there's that Richard and Simmons.
That's the Everest Junior car. They've got the race leader right there with them as well. Now the race leaders have pitted every 22 laps so far, 22 and 44. Will they come in on this lap? No, they're going again. So they're looking to go a little bit longer this time out. We might even see them try and stretch it out until the 35 lap to go mark.
Penrock car looking for a move. That's risky. Risky when you're the back marker and you've got the leader ahead of you and think about a dive.
Yeah, at least a little bit smarter just to pull out and maybe save a little bit of fuel and sit in the slipstream. Always makes me nervous when I see that. I have flashbacks of Jos Verstappen and Juan Montoya that robbed Montoya of his first win in his second race.
I just get flashbacks to one league race I did at Laguna Seca in a Assetto Corsa Competizione. Going through the corkscrew and I just see a lap car in the rear vision mirror go for a dive on me. That was not fun.
Never is. With the Porton Delaney car, 107.8 personal best for that car in this one. They're starting to get a wriggle on. But
got confirmation that Lauder is in the Rabble car.
Go. He doesn't like to talk a big game, Lauder. If he wants to do a job here, I'm going to have to shut that trap a little bit and put his money where his mouth is. And put in a really good stint here. Also got the Super 2 entry of Munro and Ferguson. Car sales listed. They're running in third place once again, so they're keeping up the good job that they've done all throughout this race. And the leading Super 2 car, but I do believe they have to pit once again. Also got Ches in the, just seeing confirmation, Ches is in the DJR Team Penske car at the moment. And well, look at that, the Team 18 car in that last lap for 107.7, they're trailing the Kortum and Delaney Nissan, and they've not been quite near that time all weekend, so I guess a change of driver and then following one of the faster cars of the weekend, and there you go, 107.7 personal best in the race for that car.
Finally a driver change at the top. Lynn is now going into the car.
So first off, where will they end up? And second of all, what is that pace going to be like in that car? Very big questions.
Now, where's he going to come out, you reckon? He had a 49-second gap over Keys Keen car.
It's not going again, but it does take a lap or so for the live timing to shake out. So the Team 18 car has got by. Now, it is ahead of the Ferguson Munro car, and it also is ahead of the Reed Cotter car, but live timing in AC with these drive changes is a little bit funky, so we do have to wait a lap. But if it is in that position, oh, what a fantastic drive and strategy call to go every 20 or so laps, about 10, maybe not quite 10, but certainly a significant portion shorter than the rest of the field, and perhaps taking these shorter stops. Obviously you've got better tyres the entire time, but also you have shorter pit stops by not putting in as much fuel as well.
There you go. Just got some information then. Driver change will always put you a lap down because you don't pass the start-finish line when you come in and stop. So there you go.
The Team Haviland car into the pits. Now they were running in the top 10 earlier on in this race, but they currently find themselves down in 15th place. And now that timing has sort of shook itself out a bit, that Boost mobile car is behind the Cortum and Delaney car, so they're a ways off. As you see now, the Team Car Sales car into the pit. So Reed and Cotter will be in the effective race lead once they get past the Car Sales car and once Team 18 pits once again. So just going a little bit further back here, and Penrite Erebus Junior team, they've got the DJR Team Penske trailing them by less than a second at the moment. Closest battle on track. We do have confirmation that Ches is in the DJR Team Penske car. Danny Rowe. Looks like the Penske car behind him also ran wide, because he pulled out a little bit of a gap despite that mistake. So now with Lauder in the car, 109.4 on that last lap, but he's had a bit of traffic to deal with. It's actually going to end up being lapped in a moment. As you can see, just a couple of cars down. That is the effective race leaders of Reed and Cotter. The Penrite ZB Commodore. Car around the exit of turn 1 there. Like I said, pit stop shaking out the Car Sales car and in 8th now. And 8 seconds behind the Team Harvey Norman car, which has done a good recovery. But they're about 8 seconds away from the Kmart car that they were battling with earlier.
We've got a little battle brewing at 18th between the Castrol Commodore and the Bull Knight Commodore.
A throwback battle, this one. The old Castrol car and the old HRT car here.
Yeah. I mentioned during the Alton Park stream, that was one of pretty well the first race I did for the AK Supercar series. I mentioned how good it is to see the old school liveries on the new cars, and they actually look pretty damn good.
Well, a lot of the liveries I found for that were run on the late 90s model Commodores do fit on the VF Commodore. The ZBs not so much, but certainly that 99 HRT livery is among my my favourites, and it really does suit the VF Commodore shape.
Well, let's be fair. The ZB Commodore is not really a Commodore; it's an Opel.
It is.
It is. It's front-wheel drive. God.
Hey, you can upgrade to 4-wheel drive.
At least the engine's in the right place in the car.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the closest battle on track. And a lap ago, the Hobson Scott car had a spin. Oh, sorry, 2 laps ago it had a spin. On the last lap, that car said first or best. So,
Well, it's a way to bounce back.
Yeah. Car. A little bit of a run at the top of the hill here. Is it going to try and make a move? No.
We thought about it.
You think about it.
God, you have to be. God, a big slide from the
he's
Castrol
gonna send
Commodore.
it.
Here we go.
Send it. A little bit of contact forces the Castrol car wide. I don't think the Castrol car was too pleased that he's bumped off the road there. So there may be a penalty for that. But either way.
That's a tough one to call because that is a very hard part of the track to pass.
It is. It's a good car there going around.
Yeah.
It is a tough place to pass. And normally when cars do get side by side through there, the car on the outside normally ends up either all over the curb or off the road. Unfortunately, this occasion did push Castrol car into the gravel.
No, I think we'll leave that one for the Stewart's side as I'll just watch the Timken car having another off-track excursion at turn 1.
It is the Newman Cunliffe car. Bright orange Timken.
Looks like they've been in the battles once again. I think they were having a bit of a struggle at Alton Park.
They're still going though. They haven't ended up in Narnia like my co-driver did at Alton.
Yeah, well, give it time. Give it time. We'll probably find someone.
I'm not sure if this track has those kind of track issues. Hopefully it doesn't, because yeah, it's not a way you want your race to get ruined, is to end up in outer space.
No, but it does give entertainment and it does create some memes, so you got to appreciate that.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
They're ahead though. Looks like the Penrite team, they're trying to put a lap on the Lauder Monroe car here. It's not making it easy. Lauder Monroe car all kinds of sideways out of the final corner.
Here we go, bit of a send in turn 1. Oh, he was on the rear brakes sideways. But managed to pull it up in time.
Yeah, no harm there. Lost the rubber club a little bit at the time, but the rubber club car didn't exactly lay out the red carpet for the race. Well, the effective race leader, we still haven't seen the Team 18 car in the pits, and they're going around again. Now, I'm trying to remember if they have changed drivers. I'm not 100% sure if they have, or if they haven't. So Keane started in that car. I'd assume they have, because there's 30 laps to go.
Oh, meanwhile, we got a little battle brewing for 11th between Richards and Simmons and Chaz Eaton. Yeah. I was like, what do you reckon? We should probably call the 114 car the Kiss car. What do you reckon? Richard Simmons.
They should be in the ZB with the Kiss livery. I mean,
yeah,
I know they're Super
brilliant.
2. I know they're Super 2, but that has to happen.
It has to happen.
It has to happen.
Or at least put the makeup face on the bonnet or something. Someone in AK Racing, make it happen.
Or at least Photoshop it into a meme or something. But we've got Team 18 are in the pits and they're changing driver, so there we go. That's that question answered.
I mean, we've got a Red Bull car out there with dick butt on it, so I mean, surely we can make this happen.
Yeah, I think, yeah, it's got to happen. Perhaps edit the driver suit. It's gonna be like a Kiss leotard.
No, confirm Brock in the chat. Yep, done. Excellent.
Awesome. Now, they are Super 2 drivers, so they aren't broadcast. Super 2 is in broadcast, but if we could get them just as a guest driver for the final round at Newcastle in 2 weeks' time, in that car, with all that stuff done, that'd be sweet. So that battle has sort of broken up a little bit as Chairs has had to let the Rabble Club car go, so he's dropped 2 seconds back, but if he does sort of stick with the Rabble Club car, he might be able to sneak back onto the back of Richard Simmons. The Kiss car. Now that they've changed drivers again in the Team 18 car, what kind of pace they have. They're behind the Lauder Monroe car. Now that things have just started to shake out. Now there's, just trying to guess, probably about 20 or so seconds between those guys, I think. Even though live timing at the moment says 50, that does need an update. Yeah, 24 seconds. What are the co-drivers in these cars like?
Well, he almost ripped about 4/10 out of the Rabble car just in that first 3 corners, but a mistake into turn 2, that's put him behind. Yeah. So
at the same time, Lauder has been in traffic, so that will compromise his lap times a little bit, but it's not like he's scything his way through it either, so I don't think the pace is all that quick. Just looking at a lot of lap times at the moment. Lap times all over the place for people, and there's certainly no one anywhere near the fastest lap of the race at the moment. The fastest lap that I've seen in the last couple of laps being in the 108s. In fact, the Hubbard and Nichols Haviland car was one of the few cars in the 108s on that last lap, but unfortunately for them, they're down in 16th, so they've had some kind of issue that's dropped them well down the field that we didn't see, because they were running in the top 10, battling to be the top Super 2 team with the Kmart car and the car sales car, which is currently running in 9th place. So if you guys do know what happened, just let us know in chat. So it'll give us something just to go over and give us, it'll fill in a lot of blanks, that's for sure. So just let us know how your races are travelling and why you find yourself where you are on the racetrack, as you see our race leaders now into the pit. So fairly short stint for those guys, but looks like they're trying to get their final stop done and dusted with 27 to go. I wonder if they might even stay out in the lead here. No, they're going to lose the lead. Castrol Kart will take the lead.
Or just.
Not going to be too far behind though. I don't believe, at least in the races, the Enduros that I've seen, wasn't able to do Bathurst, unfortunately, due to just the nature of the track. It's so PC intensive. But I haven't seen a safety car in any endurance races so far, so I wonder...
Well, we're probably going to get one now.
Yeah, surely we've got to have one in the Enduro Cup. Like, that'd be a bit weird if you go through an entire endurance campaign and not have a single safety car, that's for sure.
Well, I mean, we're going to get one now. I mean, you've brought it up. So...
No, there's absolutely zero chance it's going to happen. None.
You really want it to happen, don't you?
Well, it would certainly mix up the racing, that's for sure.
Oh, that means someone has to have a really bad day.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Oh. You could just have, people all just have a spin at one point of the track, but none of them touch each other, but they're all just sort of parked in awkward spots and they have to call the safety car. I mean, that works out for everybody. We get a nice little sprint race towards the end.
We just got a correction in chat. There was one at Bathurst, so there you go. So I guess we won't get one now here.
We're certainly not going to get a second. Certainly.
I'm just focusing on the Reed Cotter car, and he almost did a Dukes of Hazzard impression over the turn 3 curve.
Very, very good turn 2 and 3. David Thornton in chat saying his prediction looking good. Unfortunately, David, but Castrol car out in front does have one more stop to make, so it will drop down the field.
Well, the Reed Cotter car is getting held up big time by the Norton Nissan, as he's just got around him now.
Yeah, just caught him in the wrong area there. And as we can see, he's just faster. A lot of the slower stuff carry speed. And use the curve stop, use the curve quite nicely around here. Both the drivers set up quite nicely. 7.4 seconds away from the Castrol car. It's the Team 18 car just ahead of him. Just a little bit of luck up. This is the Apex. That car's just fallen away from the Rebel Club car. It's pitted. And now right in front of the leaders. That's a good one. But in the end, no harm done.
That Penrite car is that's twice he's gone over the turn 3 curve and just absolutely launched it. Yeah, but maybe NASA should be hiring him to send their rockets into orbit.
Well, they probably need to acquire the funding to be able to do that. So I don't think it'd be cheap hiring one of these two Airbus drivers, that's for sure. Two drivers in the pits. We've got the Timken car and the KISS car in the pits at the moment. And at in 16th, the Red Bull Junior team, or the Beam team, they've just set their personal best on lap 84 of 107. They would have been hoping for a bit more of that earlier on in the race. But they're only 9 to 10 seconds behind the Leveline car. Battles at the moment, but there's not really too many out there. Do have Ronch and Dominiak about 3.5 seconds ahead of Phillips and Guttison for 9th and 10th, and the Red Bull car also about 5 seconds behind the car sales car. So Ronch and Dominiak done a good job covering from last place after the first lap, but realistically only going to get one more spot.
Well, unless something catastrophic happens.
Like a safety car?
Oh, geez, that was looking pretty awkward just behind the Dominiak car. We got 3 wide. It's the Hobson Scott car in front of all that. And that is chaos.
Yeah, that's the Phillips Guttison car that's trying to chase down Runch and Dominiak in the Red Bull car. We do have our second place getters, the Team Castrol on this, and they've just pitted. But they've just managed to pit right in amongst that battle pack that's been forming.
Not ideal.
So
it's probably the last thing you want to see if you're fighting for the lead of the race. and you come out in the middle of a absolute storm of cars, all battling for position and not really wanting to give each other much space.
They certainly don't, and out of all that, the KISS car's actually overtaken the car in 10th, the Monster Energy car. Also got the Pain Crab car, the Harvey Norman car. They've just entered the pits and just about to leave as well. So a flurry of activity in the pits as teams go through their final stops. 22 laps to go. And after the pit stop, actually, the Team Castrol Nissan 2 seconds ahead of the Boost Mobile car. So I'm trying to think if that's a change of position. But either way, that's one of the closer battles on circuit. And actually, the KISS car only just behind the 2000 HRT car as well. That is for position as well. Half a second between those guys. And they've also got second and third. They're sandwiched between second and third as well. So a couple of little battles within battles here. Car there. Lynn is having to go the long way around at the penultimate corner. Oh, and a little bit of contact between the Monster car and the Penrite car. Not entirely sure who was to blame there, but the Penrite car slightly out of position, and the Monster car wanting to get further ahead after being overtaken. And the Hobson and Scott car had all that just pitting as well. That last lap costing a good 3 seconds for Lynn going through that traffic. As now the Castrol Nissan approaching another battle pack just ahead as well.
Well, laps are dying down, and we're getting into that stage, that magic number, where if you've stayed out of trouble, stuck to your strategy, and it's been a good strategy, you're in the box seat to take home a podium. So, now that we're in that stage, who's still happy with their predictions?
Clear.
And it's hard to go past them.
Opposite limit 108.8 on that last lap. So it's purple for them. They're sort of out on their own. The Castrol car here is going to have to navigate a lot of lap traffic in front. And, navigates the first part of that. It's got a little bit of a battle in front. The car running a little bit wide on the exit there. Got Ches in the pits in 11th. And he's going to exit just in front. The second place car. See what lap times Lauda is able to manage at the moment. 17 seconds between third and fourth. They're not going particularly quickly, but Lauda even slower. He's in the 110s, so let's have a look. He may have had a little bit of traffic, but it certainly doesn't look like it's all that much. It's just the HRT car there, all on right. So Lynn just falling away. That second place car as well. Brunch and Dominiak entering the pits for their final stop. Closest battle. Oh, as we got it's the McLaughlin Davies car for the main team. They're around. Also a corner. Let's drop them down a couple of spots, but the closest battle on track is between Ches and the Hornets car. Moment about 3 seconds, but looks like he's just edging away from those guys at the moment. As we see, looks like that's Lauder into the pits now as well, setting their final stop.
I'd just like to point out something I just noticed on the 78 meme team. We've actually got Yeet written on the left-hand guard.
Yeah,
I didn't notice that at Alton Park.
Yeah, it's the only Green Envy stuff all over. The Red Bull Junior team has some memes and stuff on the back and side.
Still makes me laugh looking at the rear wing and says, gives you darts.
Should be running the throwback Lowndes livery with that on there. The 2011 Vodafone car. We've got an incident, a poke pull around, and there's the Tim car around as well.
That was right in front of the O'Hara car too.
Yeah, that ain't good. And that poke pull car just a little bit stuck and reversing on the track. Yeah, we should have waited a little bit longer to get going again. These big gaps between everybody. What would be good, race director, would be a safety car for an incident like that. Because I'm just going to try and get that out there. That'd certainly throw things up.
Oh God.
Certainly see some yeeting then, that's for sure.
Well, there's 2 seconds between the Taylor Green Hornet and the Runch Dominiak car, so maybe something could happen then. The stream died. Apparently the stream has died. Oh yes, it's on my end. Don't worry. Hang on a second. I'll fix that for you guys in just a second.
Probably just need to restart it. But about 2.2 seconds. In fact, the KISS car is also closing in as well, so we might see a little 3-car battle pack here.
There we go. Got it back. Just ignore what happened there, guys. Just ignore what happened.
It never happened.
Didn't happen at all.
As well, there was a battle forming, and that car's now entered the pits. That said, I think that the KISS car might be slowly starting to gain. I think
Up about 4/10.
Yeah, so we might see something yet. We hope to see something yet, that's for sure. And all the red Cotter car very, very close to the fastest lap of the race. 107.5 on that last lap, so they're taking no prisoners on the way to here. They want to end this now. Second lead over second, but the
third place Commodore of Lynn and O'Hara. Oh no, they're in the pits now. No, that gets rid of that risk. The monster Mustang trying to look for a dive up the inside, but coming into the pits, that gets rid of that problem.
Patterson car. They're currently in 9th. 11 seconds behind the Team Car Sales. Listen.
I'll have to keep an eye on where the Lynn O'Hara car... Oh, they're already out of the pits. Never mind.
Yeah, they'll have... Once that shakes out in a lap or two. Pumps of Luna car is actually a little bit faster than the boost car at the moment, although it has just pitted and will be on cold tyres with low pressures. That's another thing in particular with this mod as well. If you are running on straight out of the pits, there's no tyre warmers and low pressures, but low tyre temps as well. Yeah, it's not a fun time, so you do struggle a little bit.
You said, of course, a tyre model. Well, it is great. God, it takes forever to get tyres warmed up.
Unless you're in a Porsche and you have anything other than medium or anything more than hard.
We don't talk about Porsche on Go Race Promotions. Ever. They got confused as to which end the engine has to go into. Well,
just don't race it in AC. I don't know about ACC, it seems okay, but in AC, GT3 car, it's a death trap. The rear tyres just overheat and you die, so...
if you can keep the car pointing in a straight line, yeah, it's a death trap. Otherwise, yeah, it's a death trap. I honestly respect anyone who can actually do a full race without spinning in a Porsche. And
Andrew O'Hara drove that in the GT3 Championship and somehow managed to win races. So I don't know how he did it. I tried it for a couple of races and that was one of the worst cars we've ever driven.
Well, he ran it at the Nordschleife. Came from about a minute 55 back and finished... Someone correct me in chat. I believe he finished in the top 5 or something. That was last Sunday.
There's an alien, that fella. But we do have a battle. Look out. We do have a battle. Runch and the Kiss car. Red Bull versus Kiss here. And there is a bit of traffic in the way, but there's less than a little bit of a Kiss there in the mid-corner. But they're going to get the job done. And, well, that was a fairly short battle, but it is going to be a run to the top of the hill.
It's not over yet. They're still side by side going up to Dandenong Road. Someone's going to have to surrender.
Ooh, and around the outside.
It's the Simmons car. He surrendered. He was in front.
Oh, but then mid-corner, the Red Bull car just backed out of it. Didn't want to go over the curb. Oh, can he try and set something up maybe for turn 1?
That was very brave from the Runch Miniac car to go around the outside through Dandenong Road.
He had it for a moment.
I thought he did too. I thought the Kiss car braked too early and got out of it. But he fought back in the mid-corner. Something I thought I'd never see in my lifetime.
Still fairly close together at the moment, so that'll not over for the moment. So we'll stick with it.
It's not over until... Well, someone's either spun out or... Well, let's hope not. Someone doesn't spin out.
Well, if they do, they cause a safety car and we have a sprint finish.
Yeah, but... I mean, someone has to spin out and you know, I don't like wishing that on drivers. That's not fun.
Perhaps an anomaly, like maybe like ducks are in this and they start walking across the track and they have to call a safety car. I don't know.
I don't think anyone's released a mod for that.
Why can't Soul do something like that?
As the Newman Cunliffe car just loops it again in front of that battle wheel we're watching. Yeah, now those cars are having a bit of a struggle at the moment, but I mean, to be fair to that, I gave up.
Well, they're still out there. They've had a couple spins at that final corner, but so far, no DNFs so far, which for a race this long is a testament to all the guys for sticking with it. And obviously we haven't seen any major problems as we cut to the race leader. We're all over the curbs, bouncing up and down and almost ending up in the barriers on the outside of turn 3. But they're still driving hard out there, even though they're 21 seconds in the lead with 8 laps to go.
Well, it's a smart thing to do. Like, a lot of people might sit back and think, oh, well, you should really back off. Well, no, the best thing is to keep on that rhythm. You distract yourself, then that's when you start making massive mistakes.
Yeah, it can be difficult once you do start to slow down. If you have to pick up the pace again, it can be difficult to try and find that speed again where you were early in the race. And Formula 1 fans, I think, if you're a Giancarlo Fisichella fan like a friend of mine was, he found out the hard way in Suzuka 2005 with Fizzy taking it easy, and once Kimi Räikkönen got up to the back of him, he couldn't speed up again because his mind just wasn't in it. And well, the rest is history. So it's smart to push the whole way, but at the same time you don't want to take too many risks when you're leading on such a margin with such little time remaining. So it is a bit of a balancing act.
Well, I'll tell you what, that gap is actually coming down between Quarterman and Reed. It was 21 seconds, now it's 20.2, so he's still in it if there's a mistake. Let's just put it that way.
Major spin, and who knows what might happen with the Formula 1 car in the pits as well, so perhaps they picked up a bit of damage, or perhaps the tyres just ran out. Perhaps running low on fuel, just decided, yeah, just get her home, fix her up, maybe run some fast laps as well, just for the fun of it.
Well, there's always a little bit of pride saying that you got the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, so maybe they've whacked on a set of super softs and going to try and set some flies out there.
Actually, I'll tell you something we should be keeping an eye on. The gap between third and fourth, that's down to 13 seconds. And Lauder is still lapping faster than Lynn.
Yeah, down to 13.5. We did check in last about 10 laps or so ago, was it about 17, 18 seconds? So yeah, it has come down about 5 seconds. Have Lynn starting to catch up to a little bit of traffic ahead, so that might still change a little bit as well. Sideways as well on the exit of Daniel Road. So we'll just wait and see what Lynn's lap time is as it crosses the line. Very, very wide at the exit of the final corner there. Gap front was down to 20 seconds for a split second. It's actually jumped back up to 22, so perhaps a lap of traffic or a mistake. Seeing that jump back out. 109.0 on that lap for Lynn. He's wide again on the exit of turn 1. What can Lauda manage? Approaches the start finish line. 109.3, so about half a second slower than his previous lap, and 3/10 slower than Lynn on that last lap.
So well, the battle for 11th is still going on as well. These two are still within a second of each other. So
Red Bull giving up.
No, that's what we like to see as well. Like, drivers just not giving up just because they got passed. Because now we're
still got 5 laps to go. And when you're racing for this long, sometimes you just need that carrot in front of you to keep going and pushing. It's right there in front of them after losing position.
Well, we're out of the endurance phase, and now we're into the sprint phase, so expect to see maybe a bit of a scrap if the Red Bull car can get back onto the Erebus car ahead.
Very, very wide there to Kiss car next to turn 4. Work though. He's just switched away on the exit. Get out just a hair over a second.
Runs it a bit deep into Dandenong. That might give a little bit of time back to the Red Bull car.
Also got the leader starting to approach, and the lead's actually running like he ran by, but yeah, the leader is starting to approach these guys as well, so that's another thing to look out for. Probably catch the back of the Red Bull car towards the end of the next lap, perhaps. Race leader about to start lap 104. There you go, 108.9 for him, so not an ideal lap, a little bit off their normal pace. Haven't seen too much of them in the second half of the race, but they've driven fantastic throughout. Just running through the field at the moment, I think. Just going to run through just a couple of what-if stories, and I think the biggest one at the moment as we cut to them, all out of shape through turn 2 and 3 and out of turn 4, is the Hubbard and Nichols Haviland car. They were running the top 10 early on, but they've just fallen by the wayside as the race has gone on and found themselves down in 15th and 16th in the large part of the second half of this race. So they can certainly take out that they've had some quite good pace. They qualified in the top 10 too, I believe, but just quite haven't been able to make the strategy work, or there was something that we missed that dropped them down the field. So they'll be thinking, what if, you know, we did this, then they could have been running in the top 10. Because yeah, they were battling the Kmart car that currently runs in P6, and another one of those what-ifs is Ches Eaton car and the Red Bull car. Obviously, Red Bull car was turned around early on in the race. It's been a little bit up and down. If they had to put it all together, they'd probably find themselves in the top 10. And the Phillips Guttison car could also have been a little bit higher in this one as well. They were running, I think, 4th place early on, but by about lap 7 or 8 they did start to slowly drift backwards down the field, and they've sort of not quite had the pace that they sort of showed in the qualifying race.
Well, let's hope all these drivers have got enough fuel to get home, because now that fuel pit window, well, pits are closed. Would be heartbreaking to run out of fuel on the last lap.
In sim racing, where they've been a lap short, whether it be on the last lap of the race or as they were entering the pit lane. I've certainly done that a couple of times. Ooh, as you see the Red Bull car in the background there behind the leader. Off at Dandy Road, our race leader still drifting around out there, right behind the junior car. They're about to start the final lap of the race. For the final lap. It's going to be a fairly comfortable victory in the end. Once they got into the lead, they built up a little bit of a lead. They're challenged a little bit by the pace of O'Hara, but strategy and pace from both the drivers is 20 seconds clear, with 10 customers clear of the Lynn and O'Hara car as well.
Compliment from Muntality. I hope I've got that one right. It's very the overlay for Streamlabs is very small, but you and I have been compared to Scapey and Crompo. But thank you very much.
The question is, who is who? Oh, it's right out sideways out the exit of the final corner. It's just a shame they don't drive for Red Bull. I can just praise them even more. But Reed and Cotter take the win and continue their duel with Team Castrol plus Fitness, but they take the chocolates tonight. 19.9 seconds clear, and what a drive.
Yep, can't say a bad word against Reed or Cotter. They were just unstoppable this entire race. Lennon O'Hara come home a lap down in 3rd position, and Gordon Delaney been driving from every single one of these drivers to actually make it home. And that's another endurance race that we have done without a safety car.
It is only the one at Bathurst, as they see Payne and Crab across the line to finish P7. We've got the second of the Super 2 runners to come home. The Hum and Secluna Kmart car has come home and finished in 6th, so great work from those guys. Same with the Team Car Sales car. Both those teams being Super 2. Fantastic effort. Phillips and Guttison. Over the line in 9th, Ches and Eaton, rounding out the top 10. The Kiss car coming home in 11th place. The Red Bull Racing car in 12th. Team, they've had an eventful race in this one, sending sideways a couple of times as we see them on the cool down lap onto sideways and then into the barrier. Taylor and Green car as well, that's been up and down and on the broadcast a bit as well. Innocent, they come home in 14th. Hubbard and Nichols up in the top 10, gave us a nice little battle with the Kmart car and the car sales car in the earlier portion of the race, will come home in 15th. Newman and Cunliffe in 16th. The meme team coming home in 17th, Ball and 18th, Monty and Spinozzi in 19th, followed by Pope and Paul rounding out the field.
Well, that was a pretty good show. Really good drive. Honestly, hats off to every single one of those drivers.
Yeah, there weren't too many or any real major incidents. There were a couple sort of dodgy rejoins and a little bit of contact here and there, but yeah, no real big incidents. I think the biggest would have been the Red Bull Ranch Dominiac car, I think on the first lap coming down the hill there. But aside from that, for the most part, pretty clean, and certainly from our front, I would have to say our top 5 runners, I guess you could include the top 6 with the Kmart team as well. All those guys, from what we saw, they never really made any kind of major mistake or ran off the road too badly. So those guys, both drivers in each of those teams, everybody throughout the field, we had 20 cars start and 20 cars finish, which is always, in an endurance race, fantastic to see.
That's correct. So, yeah.
Alright, well, that just about does it here from us two and the AK Racing crew of the round 11 of the AK Racing Supercar Championship from Sandown International Raceway. But just before we go, bring up the calendar to showcase what is coming up in 2 weeks' time. We do have the Newcastle Circuit, and it will be the final round of the championship on June 7th. And it will be the Super Street format, so there will be a qualifying session followed by a top 10 shootout, and then there will be fairly lengthy race around the streets of Newcastle, which I'm sure we'll probably see a little bit more action and a little bit more incidents in that one, no doubt.
Sounds very exciting. I cannot wait to see it. Yeah, well, I guess thank you for having me on the stream, Lewis.
Anytime, mate. And, well, thanks for coming along. Obviously, apologies for not sort of sorting this out earlier, but I think we've both been a bit busy the last couple of weeks. So, thanks for coming on. And, well, Newcastle will be my final broadcast with AK Racing this year. And I'm sure you're going to do a good job when you take it over next season.
I certainly hope I will. But anyway, I'd like to say goodnight to everyone. Thank you for joining us, and hope you've been thoroughly entertained.
Yep, have a good one.